Hare Krishna. Welcome to this episode of Bhagavad-gītā. So today we are studying chapter 9, text 33, which is Best Use of a Bad Bargain. That's the title of today's class. So we will say our Mangalacharan prayers and then we will begin. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Right, so chapter 9, text 33 of Bhagavad-gītā. Kim punar brāhmaṇāḥ puṇyā bhaktā rājarṣayas tathā anityam asukhaṁ lokam imaṁ prāpya bhajasva maṁ. Kim, how much, punaḥ, again, brāhmaṇāḥ, brāhmanas, puṇyāḥ, righteous, bhaktāḥ, devotees, rājarṣayas, saintly kings, tathā, also, anityam, temporary, asukhaṁ, full of miseries, lokam, planet, imaṁ, this, prāpya, gaining, bhajasva, be engaged in loving service, maṁ, unto me. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: how much more this is so of the righteous brāhmanas, the devotees and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary, miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Therefore, having come to this temporary, miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. Let me just check the original version of Bhagavad-gītā because I remember it's something else. You see, see here, the edited version is, how much more this is so of the righteous brāhmanas, the devotees and the saintly kings. Therefore, so that means the previous verses, women, Vaishyas, Shudras, anyone can come to me, even the low-born, they can come to me. And this verse is saying how much more it is possible for the righteous brāhmanas, devotees and saintly kings to also come to me. Then the next sentence is he is telling Arjuna that therefore, Arjuna, having come to this temporary world, now that you have come to this temporary material world, miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. So So because you're a saintly king, so anybody can come and you are a saintly king. This is more so for the brahmanas and devotees and saintly kings, and therefore you engage. But in the original version, it is said, how much greater then are the brahmanas, the righteous, the devotees, and saintly kings who, in this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. So it's not like telling Arjuna to engage in loving service. Uh, the saintly kings, you know, the brahmanas and the righteous, they engage in loving service unto him. So that's the thing. So I'm not very conversant with the Sanskrit grammar. Bhajasva. Bhajasva means I'm asking you to do, or like in third person, like they are engaged in loving service. Let's see what the word meaning is. Bhajasva, be engaged in loving service. Bhajasva. In the original one is are engaged in loving service. So this is what I want to know. Bhajasva is which way it is translated by Prabhupada, and Sanskrit in Sanskrit, whether it is in the second person or the third person, Bhajasva means. Then we will know. I am not very sure at this point. I need to research myself. Anyway, the underlying philosophy doesn't really change. Whichever Prabhupada wanted to be published. Of course, the brahmanas, righteous devotees, and kings, they engage themselves in Krishna's service, and Krishna asking us to engage in that service. No big difference. I mean, of course, the meaning is different, but the instruction will be the same. Because anyway, we have to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans who engage in the loving service of Krishna. So, purport: in this material world, there are classifications of people, but after all, this world is not a happy place for anyone. It is clearly stated here, anityam, asukhaṁ, lokam. This world is temporary and full of miseries, not habitable for any sane gentleman. This world is declared by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be temporary and full of miseries. Dukhalayam ashashvatam, and here also anityam asukhaṁ lokam. Some philosophers, especially Mayavadi philosophers, say that this world is false, but we can understand from Bhagavad-gītā that the world is not false. It is temporary. There is a difference between temporary and false. This world is temporary, but there is another world which is eternal. This world is miserable, but the other world is eternal and blissful. Arjuna was born in a saintly royal family. To him also the Lord says, take to my devotional service and come quickly back to Godhead, back home. No one should remain in this temporary world, full as it is with miseries. Everyone should attach himself to the bosom of the Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he can be eternally happy. The devotional service of the Supreme Lord is the only process by which all problems of all classes of men can be solved. Everyone should therefore take to Krishna consciousness and make his life perfect. So, here, just to have the context, this all is the whole five verses are tied. I mean, in a series, 930 to 934, which is the last verse of this chapter, which is the next verse. Today is 933. You see, in 930, it's saying that even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. Right? Then, so even if one is very sinful, he just has to start engaging in devotional service. Okay? You may say, oh, then he's not pure, then how? Then here, let me you see previous verse. Yes. तस्माद् वैरानुबन्धेन निर्वैरेण भयेन वा स्नेहात् कामेन वा युञ्ज्यात् कथञ्चिन् नेक्ष्यते पृथक्. Is it this one or 7125? Let me see. Seven 129 or 30 then. Oh, come on. Tasmat kenapi. 7132. Oh, Krishna. See? I've just searched Sanskrit. Okay, here you see. तत्मोऽपि न वेन स्यात् पञ्चानां पुरुषं प्रति तस्मात् केनाप्युपायेन मनः कृष्णे निवेशयेत्. तस्मात् केनाप्युपायेन मनः कृष्ण निवेशयेत्. So these two lines were taken by Rupa Goswami, and I think he composed another verse, which is like, the Padma Puran verse. Smartavya satatam Vishnur, Vismartavyo na jatuchit, Sarva vidhi nishedhasur etayoreva kinkaraha. It means always remember Krishna, never forget him. Always remember Vishnu and never forget him. Every other rule and prohibition in Vedas are servants to these two principles. Now the last two lines, which is Sarva vidhi nishedhasur etayoreva kinkara, he took out that. And then these two lines, which is Tasmat kenapyupayena, he composed as one verse, I think in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu or something. He said, Tasmat kenapyupayena manah krishne niveshayet sarva vidhi nishedhasur etayoreva kinkaraha. I need to find that verse, but now we will not, we are not going to like spend time doing that. So basically, Tasmat kenapi, whichever, upayana means whichever way, whichever idea, I mean, not idea exactly, somehow or other, one's mind should be attracted to Krishna. And then all the other rules and regulations are subsidiary. So, in other words, even if, 930, just now we have read, even if one is doing most abominable action, if he is engaged in Krishna consciousness, he is to be considered saintly. So, this fact that by the association of pure devotees, येन्ये च पाप यदपाश्रयाश्रयाः शुद्धन्ति तस्मै प्रभविष्णवे नमः. The Supreme Lord, he, so not the Supreme Lord, the devotee of the Supreme Lord, he can purify even the worst sinners. So how? How can he do that? How does he do that? Practically. So this is what he does. Tasmat kenapyupayena manah krishne niveshayet. That means somehow or other he makes their mind to get attracted to Krishna. And then sarva vidhi nishedhasur etayoreva kinkaraha. Other rules and regulations are slowly introduced as a subsidiary principle. That means, just like Prabhupada, for example, practically we will see how Prabhupada did it in our historical context. Prabhupada went to the Tompkins Square Park, he was chanting there, and he was, even in the early days, he was having classes, kirtan classes, and also prasadam especially. And he called it Sunday Love Feast, Preeti Bhojanam. So, that was done. So people, the hippies and all, they were breaking all principles actually. But they got somehow, some of them got attracted to the prasadam and the chanting. So in this way, they got attracted to the movement. And when he was speaking philosophy, because of the effect of chanting and prasadam, the philosophy was slowly getting into them, the understanding. Because, oh, just they're liking it, they're liking the kirtan, they're liking the prasadam. So, you know what? They're actually liking. So, it's okay, and somehow or other they're engaged. We cannot be satisfied with that, satisfied with a lack of injection of philosophy. So, philosophy, even though it may be difficult for them, see, that's why if you see Prabhupada, when he wrote the poem as he reached the shores of America, he wrote the poem and he said, Krishna, the population here are immersed in modes of passion and ignorance. Um, they have no idea of what is spiritual life. But my Guru Maharaj sent me here to preach to these people. So, Krishna, if you so will, please make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. So, in this way, he was praying to Krishna that, of course, that's out of his humility. Krishna already empowered him. He could speak to uh, make them understand. So he's preaching means to make them understand, not simply some, oh, they're attracted to kirtan, they're attracted to prasadam. So that's good. No, that's actually very good enough, right? I mean, at least, from complete atheism or whatever, they have come to like the kirtan and prasadam. So, we should be a little bit, let them not hear the philosophy. It may be too hard, too heavy for them. No, this is what we should understand, that preaching means it. This attraction for kirtan and prasadam will not sustain if there is no philosophical understanding. It will become a sentimental thing, and without a base in philosophy, it will not sustain. The movement will not sustain. Nobody will actually surrender their lives for such a thing. They should understand, oh, how grave, how significant this whole thing is, this movement. Then yes, they can come forward. So, but that injection of philosophy, in the beginning, they have no brains to understand. They're so soaked in modes of passion and ignorance. Therefore, to purify the atmosphere, purify the mindset, the kirtan is done in the beginning, and then philosophy, and then after that prasadam. Because even if the philosophy is difficult to digest, prasadam will be easy to digest. So Prabhupada said they may not digest the philosophy, but they will definitely digest the prasadam. So in that way, when they eat nice food, okay, again their minds are pacified, and it's not that it's always heavy. It's also nice. It's also interesting. Philosophy is. We should not look at philosophy as the repelling factor for newcomers. No. Devotees actually sometimes they think like this. If we speak too much philosophy, it will repel them. Even Krishna is so like obnoxious that his philosophy will repel a people. I mean, it's something that is dangerous or something. No, it is actually very satisfying. So one must know the art of how to speak. That's all. And that we will learn as we are speaking, and we pray, we depend on the mercy of the spiritual master and Krishna. Krishna will give us the intelligence, dadama buddhi yogam tam, how to speak. So recently I was in India. Wait a second, I need to. So recently I was in India, and I met some devotees, some other camp, other Ritvik camp. So they were saying that to the donors we have to preach differently, to the students we have to preach differently, to the householders we have to preach differently. To how to say, to dedicated devotees we have to preach differently. He was saying like that. I did not find that agreeable. So of course we did not have the full time to explain the whole thing, but I showed just one verse. Preaching means straightforward preaching, and it is just we have to know how to tell it, but we should tell the truth. It's not that we hide the truth, and that is called preaching to this class, preaching to this class, preaching to this class. There's no such thing. Okay, so um, there's no different way to preach to a donor. They say, those devotees say that, oh, if you preach too much to the donor, he will stop. I mean, he will lose interest in earning money. He'll lose interest in materialistic life, and he may become even a devotee. And if he becomes a devotee, then he will not have so much money to give. So we need the money, so keep him like a donor and don't preach to him too much. And because also, if you preach too much, then they will maybe feel a little bit repulsion. So just keep them happy, like just say nice things, whatever sweet words they want to hear, and then get the money. And then they use this phrase, we have to liberate their Lakshmi. So um, so this is their understanding. So this is wrong. We should always preach full truth. The mannerism in which we may say that will mature over time as one becomes more advanced. Um, and Krishna will give the intelligence how to speak. And even if what we said does not is not acceptable to them, it's fine. We cannot compromise the truth just for having the money. No, we should tell the truth. And if he's really so repulsive to the truth, then never mind. Don't want. But we should make, if he's interested, if he's sincere to know, we should. And of course there are people who are not interested, who just, okay, you take the money and go, you doing something nice. I have no time for this. Okay, those kind of people are there. Okay, we take their money and whatever we try to preach, if the guy is ready to listen, fine, otherwise no. But there are some people who, pious people, who you can actually explain. And even if he's not inquisitive, it's the devotee's job to make him think about it even, right? That's what we do when we distribute books, when we sell books. What are we doing? We're trying to convince the person, so to think about this matter, and then convincing him to take a book so that he can learn more about it. So that's what book distribution is. So it's not that, oh, if he'll inquire, then maybe I will speak to him. No, induce his inquiry by putting forward, questioning what is his understanding of life, because that's usually what people understanding of life is. So we have to tell in a way that they will question what it is actually. Oh wow, yeah, I did not think in that way. Yeah, so the interest should spark in them. That's what preaching is all about. And then it should further it should be nourished and followed up with. So this different preaching, this is all putinati, not being straightforward. Let's be straightforward. And that's why ISKCON and some other groups also, Hare Krishna, they're not preaching. They have so much resources at their, so much wherewithal. They are not preaching straight and attacking these, you know, so-called worldviews of different philosophers, scientists. How Prabhupada attacked these things. They have no dynamism like that. That vision, that um, how to say, bold preaching. Don't see. Um, so it's not exactly that philosophy is the repulsive factor. Kirtan is attractive, prasadam is attractive, but philosophy we should like moderate a bit. Not moderate, speak, but we should know how to speak. That's it. And even if some people get upset, that's fine. It's okay. They will be. We are not here to please the people. We are not people pleasers. We are guru pleasers and Krishna pleasers. That's what our task is. And if Krishna is pleased, Guru is pleased, then they will send sincere souls to us. So that's how it works. If I think that I should speak in a way that to please them so that they will come, that is all ahankara anityam. This is what kartaham iti manyate. Uh, Kartaham means I think I am the doer. I am bringing them. No, Krishna will give. Krishna will send the sincere souls to us if he is satisfied with what we do. So our thing is to satisfy Krishna. That is what how we must preach. Okay. Devale. Devale is Sharing. Whenever any wealthy person used to come in the temple and not serious about bhakti, but to keep his impression on high level, what is that? Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to directly chastise them. Yeah, he wanted them to clean the pots first, and also big leaders like religious leaders and all, so-called thought leaders. He made them wash the pots when they came to see him. So yeah, so that's the thing. So anyway, so even if he is more sinful, 930. Second. 930. Even if one commits most abominable action, if he is situated in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly. Not that he can continue his nonsense. Quickly, Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Quickly he will become a Dharmatma, righteous person. By such engagement in devotional service, he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Then um, one may ask, oh, maybe this is only for the great yogis. But no, Krishna says this Mame Partha Panchritya, this verse 932. Those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, and Shudras, can attain the supreme destination. Right? So that is there. Then today's verse is how much more this is so of the righteous brāhmaṇas, devotees, and saintly kings. Therefore, you engage in loving service unto me in this material world. So, anityam asukhaṁ lokam. So now, one thing, if we see the verse, and then of course next verse is how to engage in this loving devotional service. That is the formula. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktva atmanam matparayana. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So this is the thing. So this whole thing is like a series. Uh, continuously is talking. Of course, we are studying one verse, but we should also know the continuation of the dialogue in Bhagavad-gītā. Anyway, किं पुनर् brāhmaṇāḥ puṇyā bhaktā rājarṣayas tathā anityam asukhaṁ lokam imaṁ prāpya bhajasva. Now, in the previous verse, there is papayonayaha, which is striya, vaishya, shudra. All these sinful or lower birth, they can also come to me, and the higher births, which they are endowed with even more qualifications, then it is even more so possible for them, like brāhmanas and bhaktas and rājarṣayas, who are pious and righteous. So one may now think that, oh, there is higher and lower classes. Yes, there is, because it's not the soul is equal, but the according to the way influence of the modes, one gets different bodies and different combinations of intelligence, strength, and beauty, and all these things. So they're classified, and that's why there is this varnashram system. In fact, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, they're not all equal. Mhm. So, but one may think, oh, this is higher, so this is better. But here Krishna is saying, therefore, anityam asukhaṁ lokam. After all, that's why Prabhupada actually stresses on that point. In this material world, there are classifications of people, but after all, this world is not a happy place for anyone. Whether he is Brahmana, Bhakta, Rajarshi, whoever it is, or Papayoni, which is Striya, Vaishya, Sudra, all have suffering. Anityam Asukham Lokam. It is Anityam and Asukham. So, we should not be attracted to this world or our positions in this world. Oh, I am higher, mine is higher birth, yours is lower birth. Oh, I am greater than you. This is not the whole focus at all. by some, good fortune, previous actions, whatever, one has got a certain body, or, whether pious or sinful. But it doesn't matter. The equalizing factor is devotional service. So instead of fighting to be equal on the material plane, we should work towards equality on the spiritual plane. And that's what, 5th chapter, 18th verse, Krishna says, विद्या विनय संपन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पंडिताः समदर्शिनः. Humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater, outcast. Now, here there are contradictory words in this, seemingly contradictory words in this verse. Now, humble sages see with equal vision, so they see everybody equal, but then immediately followed by classifications of higher and lower, even the mention of outcast, Chandala. Outcast means he's not supposed to be with the rest of the civilization, he should be away. Then, if he's supposed to be seen with equal vision, why is he an outcast? And why is Krishna even classifying him as an outcast? Chandala. Or Swapacha. Why he's doing the distinction? And in the 932 and 33 also, he made distinction. He Papayoni, Striya, Vaishya, Shudra, and then here Kim Punar, brāhmaṇāḥ, puṇyā, bhaktā, rājarṣayas. So there is distinction again. So there is the varnashram system itself is full of distinction. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyas. This is dividing the human society into so many categories. So that's not exactly division. That's categorization according to the influence of the modes. If I'm more sattvic as a human being is brahmana. A mixture of sattvic and rajasic is kshatriya. What is that? Mixture of rajasic and tamasic is vaishya. Little bit, this one also will be there. Sometimes sattva with vaishya, but predominantly this thing, rajasic and tamasic, and then fully tamasic shudra. And even shudra, he's at least following the Vedic principles to whatever extent he is. But below him, who is not even in the Vedic fold, who is not following anything, they are mlechas, yavanas, chandalas. These words are given for them. So there is clearly a demarcation, even in the language of the Vedas, even in the language of Krishna. Krishna personally is using those words. And not only that, he created these bodies differently. And therefore, he is explaining it like that. So then, equal vision. If sages see with equal vision, why is Krishna not seeing with equal vision? And if Krishna really saw with equal vision, why Pandavas and Kauravas were not equal? Why he was siding the Pandavas and not the Kauravas? He wanted the Kauravas to be killed and Pandavas to be saved and Pandavas to be ruling. What is all this? So by this we should understand that when he says equal vision, he is not speaking of equal vision on the material plane. He is speaking with equal vision on the spiritual plane. As souls, we are all equal. Everybody is equal. But right now, we are trapped in different bodies. That is, what is that? Kayena vacha manasendriyaiva buddhyatmanava anusrita swabhava. You see this verse. Swabhava. Kayena vacha manasendriyaiva buddhyatmanava swabhavat karoti yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanayeti samarpayetat. In accordance with the particular nature one has acquired in conditioned life, in accordance with that, whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, or purified consciousness, one should offer to the Supreme, thinking, this is for the pleasure of Lord Narayana. So, according to our modes that we have acquired, anusrita swabhava, particular nature that we have, that is determined by the influence of the three modes, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic modes. Sattvagun, rajagun, tamagun. So, in according to that, whatever one does with body, words, mind, senses, intelligence, he should do it for Narayana. So, unifying factor, the unity in diversity, is devotional service. The unifying principle is devotional service, because one is talented as one in one way, one is talented in another way. So everybody has different talents, different skills, different dispositions, different aptitudes. So all these people, how can they be equal? The equalizing factor is that with their own variety of skills and natures that people have, they should all serve Narayana or Krishna. So that is the unifying principle. So with equal vision means that everybody is a servant of Narayana. So now they're trapped in a particular body, so they cannot really act in a way that is different from the influence of the modes of the particular body. So now they are trapped in a certain material condition, right? And we asked for it. It's a because of our previous actions, we got this particular body. So we bargained for it. So the best use of this bad bargain is that to use this body in Krishna's service. Then, even though we may be limited with the condition of the body, we are still able to perform on the platform of the soul by using those tendencies in Krishna's service. This is a perfect way, such a beautiful, scientific, perfect way in which Krishna has facilitated the spiritualization of our material condition. Uh, so otherwise, it's one or the other, right? We may think, oh, now I'm material, I would become spiritual. That means I have to leave everything and then meditate somewhere. That is the idea people have of spiritual life. Oh, they have to give up and then go to some mountain somewhere and then do. But it is not like leaving and accepting that. No, it actually cannot happen like that. There has to be a gradual change. So now that we are trapped in a certain condition, our psychophysical condition, due to the influence of the three modes, sattvagun, rajagun, tamagun, we have a particular body and with particular nature we have. So, and everyone is diverse. As many fingerprints there are, that many different forms, natures of people there are. Everyone has their own individuality. So they're all diverse. So, but still they can be employed somehow or other in Krishna's service. So, equal vision means, and okay, so equal vision means to not only see that they are soul and they are actually servant of, Krishna, but to actually engage them in the service of Krishna. And in the process of, especially a preacher, he will always try to engage people in Krishna consciousness. All kinds of people. It may be women, men, and even within that, there are so many distinctions, right? So, so he should be expert in engaging them in Krishna's service. And everyone has different roles in society. So accordingly, he will engage them. So that's why a devotee may engage one person differently, another person differently, because of their natural aptitudes. So a preacher, he should be able to detect, okay, what is naturally possible for a particular person, and then use that in Krishna's service. So a devotee, especially Acharya, he is very expert, and those who are acting as Siksha Gurus, those who are trying to handle the preaching, and everybody should learn that. Everybody should be a preacher. Otherwise, third class devotee is not really a stable devotee. He can fall back to materialism. So devotee means actually starting with preacher. So he should know how to engage people. And different people will be differently engaged, but they should all be engaged in Krishna's service. So there is distinction in that in their present condition allows them such and such um, um, how to say tendencies or natures. So one should be able to spot the different natures of the different people. At the same time, engage them in the unifying thing, which is devotional service, according to their own nature. So in this way, the equality is done, equality is seen. So this is the art of preaching, and then eventually, once they engage, I saw a quote. I don't know where it is. Our devotional projects, like we have many projects, right? Like, you know, our media project, which is, how to propagate this message through social media and all these things. And then there is maybe temple building project like we have in Puducherry, or starting some preaching centers or whatever. There are so many projects, and Prabhupada started the BBT, or I mean the printing press, and then the art department, which they used to paint. Everybody used to paint, the devotees, and cooking department, festivals. I mean, there are so many projects and departments in Krishna's service. The service can be expanded unlimitedly, right? So, I saw this quote. I don't know where I exactly saw it. So it is said that we should not try to um, further the project using the devotees, but use the project to further the advancement of the devotees. You understand the distinction? Not to use the project or use the devotees for a project. Instead of that mindset, okay, I have this project, I need these devotees. Yes, of course, that is how it will materialize or spiritualize, whatever you say. But it is not that the project is the most important thing, and devotees, somehow or other. Sometimes, of course, there is turnover. Some people just leave, some people stay, whatever. But we have to use the project to elevate the devotees. So the projects are there to create engagement for devotees. Just like Krishna. It is not that, so it is, we should see that it is not that we need devotees for this project. So the project is the most important thing, and devotees. No, it's actually the devotees are the most important. And all the projects are for the devotees, and engage them in that project to elevate them so that they will have more and more service. So, a management preacher means he should create such projects so that devotees can enthusiastically. Prabhupada said, um, leader's job is to create a fresh challenge so that devotees will want to rise and meet that challenge. So it is to enthuse the devotees. He should be enthusiastic, and he should enthuse others by giving them projects of services. So in that way, we can everybody can be always engaged in service. So Krishna, when he comes here, he started. I mean, he spoke the Bhagavad-gītā, and then he sent acharyas, and then you see what Prabhupada did was he went and he went to America, and then after that he went alone. So he was serving Krishna anyway, right? In the Radha Damodar temple, he was serving, in he was going to Delhi and Vrindavan. He was printing his magazines, and he was serving. He was completely Krishna conscious. But the service of Krishna, he wanted to expand. And when the movement became bigger, there is always dearth of manpower because the projects are always ever increasing. Okay, we have done this. Okay, now next, another department, another department. So in this way, he always pushed the boundaries of service so that there is always a fresh challenge, and then we will rise to meet that. So um, that is a very healthy place to be in serving Krishna. So everybody must be engaged in different ways, whichever is possible for whoever, and just not possible. It's to actually push them, and that pushing should be to inspire them instead of like talking down. Okay, you must do this. Of course, disciplining is there. That is also there, chastisement. But to inspire them to work for Krishna, work for Prabhupada. So that should be done. So, so this is the art actually of preaching. So we should understand these distinctions are there, but all of them are material distinctions. But are they relevant in our spiritual life? Yes. This is what we need to understand. It's not that, oh, it is no more relevant. Oh, this women, Vaishyas, Sudras, oh, direct to devotional service, everybody equal. Yeah, but still, women will have their duties. Because as long as they have this body, women can only become pregnant, right? For example. So in the family, the woman can become pregnant only, and then she has to bear the child, and then she has to raise the child. So not only in the family, but also in the society, in the temple and the movement. So everybody have their roles. So that's why it is still important that we know these distinctions. Of course. Otherwise, how are we going to conduct? We're not in Paramahamsa Babaji levels that everybody, oh, today started chanting, tomorrow all are equal. As souls, we're anyway equal. Even the atheist is equal to the devotee. There's no distinction because soul is soul. One is forgotten, one has remembered. That's all. That's the only difference. But now the current position, the current stage of advancement is not the same. So accordingly, there are codes or laws on how each of these different classification of people should contribute to the ultimate goal of serving Krishna. The whole society should serve Krishna, and each of them, they have their parts, just like our body. Head has a role, arms have a role, chest has a role, stomach has a role, legs have a role. So, and that is just inside each of these, there are so many organs, so many systems. All of them have specific roles in the upkeep of the entire body. So, the spiritual upkeep of the entire society should be done by all different classes of people, and we should know who has to do what. So, on one side, we preach equality. That sometimes people actually um, raise complaint on this issue, and usually it's women. I'm sorry to say, but this is what they say. Oh, they are saying, everyone can come. Spiritual life means everybody equal. Okay, material platform, yeah, there is distinctions, but spiritual all equal. The big things they will say, and then once you go there, women are given one service and men are given another service, like this. Why the distinction? They will say this. Okay, then you also do the service that we do. Come and wash the toilets. Come, wash the toilets, wash the pots, and go out in the sun, distribute books. Come, more than welcome. They want only one thing, particular things. Oh, why women are not in the management? Why there are no pujaris here, women? Why? Why we can't be pujaris? Every service is the same, right? Cooking also is the same. Same as it's actually extension of the altar only, kitchen. No, they want to fight. I want to get into it. But they don't understand that if the men and women are going to be close, it will create unnecessary problems. So there are men doing seva there and then women there at the same time, and so unnecessary. You know. And it's a small place also, the altar. So anyway, so people complain that, oh, this service, that why I'm serving, why I'm sweeping the floor, why he's managing the temple. This, I mean, so every service is same. But of course, according to one's advancement, one's dedication, one slowly has more responsible service. It is not that like in a material establishment, the sweeper, it's a lower end job, and then the manager is of course a higher end job, and he's a higher class and all that. Now, similar outlook may be there in the devotional life. Like somebody is sweeping the floor, somebody is managing. Krishna. So this kind of distinction you may see even in the temple, but it is from a different perspective. One is everybody is doing service and all services are equal, and according to one's advancement, one's dedication or something, he will be given more responsible service. And it is not that he's enjoying a position. He's even more responsible now of not only his own advancement but of all the, like for example, temple president. He has to be responsible for everybody's temple, spiritual advancement. So that's a more responsible service. A person who has just begun, who has started to wash the pots or sweep the floor, wash the toilets, he is not adept. He's not even aware of the full techniques of devotional service himself. He doesn't know how to practice. He's just learning now, and then it takes time. And it's not just like, okay, I have learned how to sweep the floor. Now I know. Now next higher. No, it doesn't work like that. It's not about the skill itself of sweeping. It is the dedication and the devotion with which, and that requires steadiness. How to sweep with devotion. How to sweep with devotion. Do it every day. Not like, oh, I'm imagining in Ras Leela something and then sweeping. and then sweeping all like a rascal, every dust is everywhere. No, no, no. It's not like dreaming, daydreaming. No, that's not devotional sweeping. Sweeping means, some people think like devotion means, oh, some ecstasy, merged in ecstasy, and then practically doing nothing there. So we're not talking about such nonsense. Sweeping with devotion means, or washing pots with devotion means, do whatever service we have with attention and with full enthusiasm, and knowing well that you are actually serving Krishna. That's it. So we have to do it with attention, and not like short attention span. Oh, okay, today I did with attention. Okay, tomorrow give me something higher. No, no, no. Do it for 1 year. Let's see. Do it for 1 year. So we want to see the steadiness, because it is all about discipline. Discipline means not like army man. Okay, today he did 50 push-ups. Okay, now I can do 50 push-ups. Tomorrow something higher. No, no, no. You do that regularly. Then you will have some. You will develop the stamina to do that, and the next you will be able to take on next higher. Because if you're not stable, I mean, how are you going to run any responsible service? You cannot. So one has to become stable. One has to regularly do the service. There's a nitya seva, it is said. So just like we had the Goswamis, what they were doing, Sankhya Purvaka Nama Gana Natibhi, they chant, they have a sadhana like a routine every day, minimum 64 rounds. Haridas Thakur 192 rounds. And not only Namagana, and Natibhi also. Natibhi means bowing down. So, for example, I think Raghunath Das Goswami, every day he will bow down to 1008 Vaishnavas. Every day, must. Just like we have sadhana of, okay, minimum 16 rounds, we must do. It's our like vow, routine vow. So, chanting means, oh, not like today 16 rounds, okay, tomorrow and something higher. No, 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 there's no higher. This is highest. You purify our chanting. That is what. So, by regularly doing, we will uh, overcome all the anarthas, and not just regularly doing mindlessly, with attention. Then eventually we will become, and to do it with attention, we have to, that's why, listen to philosophy. Then we will understand the significance of what we're doing. Otherwise, we don't even know what we're doing. And after some time, we'll just give it up, not knowing actually how important it is that we're being engaged in devotional service. So, therefore, Shravanam and Kirtanam are the most important aspects of devotional service. Hearing and chanting. These two have to go on. Otherwise, we'll become very weak and we'll fall down. And let's see here. যে লীলা অমৃতা ভিনে খায় যদি অন্ন পানে তবে ভক্তের দুর্বল জীবন যার এক বিন্দু পানে উৎফুল্লিত তনু মানে হাসে গায় করয়ে নর্তনা. What is that? Men become strong and stout by eating sufficient grains, but the devotee who simply eats ordinary grains but does not taste the transcendental pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna gradually becomes weak and falls down from the transcendental position. However, if one drinks but a drop of nectar of Krishna's pastimes, his body and mind begin to bloom and he begins to laugh, sing, and dance. So, how to drink this? How to taste this transcendental pastimes? What does that mean? Hearing or reading. So therefore, in the purport, Prabhupada says all the devotees connected with the Krishna consciousness movement must read all the books that have been translated. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad-gītā, and others. Otherwise, after some time, they will simply eat, sleep, and fall down from their position. Thus, they will miss the opportunity to attain an eternal blissful life of transcendental pleasure. It's very important. Read. Then our services will be sustained. That is the sustenance. Shravanam is the Shravanam and Kirtanam are the nourishment, watering the tree. If you don't do that, it will dry up. That's exactly what our devotion will become if we don't do the Shravanam and Kirtanam. That's why I see 19.151. See, Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining how one should be the gardener. Here he says, okay, by the mercy of Krishna and Guru and Krishna, we get this seed. By the mercy of both Krishna and spiritual masters, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Now, when a person receives the seed of devotional service, he should take care of it by becoming a gardener and sowing the seed in his heart. If he waters the seed gradually by the process of Shravan and Kirtan, hearing and chanting, the seed will begin to sprout. See? Is that? Mali hoya kore se bij aropan, Shravan Kirtan jale koroye sechan. Sechan means see, sprinkling. So this sprinkling, the nourishment of the tree, is by the Shravan Kirtan jale koroye sechan. Aropan means sowing. And then Sechana means sprinkling. So this gardening, we must become expert gardener. So Sechana. So if that is not done, if Shravan Kirtan Jala is not poured on the bija, it will not grow. Right? You can't expect a plant to grow in a desert. So if our heart is like a desert, then it will not grow. So therefore, and even if it has grown to a while, after some time, oh, I've sprinkled, now it is growing. Okay, now I can stop. No, it will again shrivel up and then die. So sometimes, devotees think, okay, I have read, I kind of understand the philosophy, fine, what? Prabhupada is saying the same thing, over and over again. What is new? I know already. If we think like this, that is the most dangerous position to be in. That means one has not tasted the real, same thing. Oh, he wants something higher now. Or he thinks he knows enough now, he can manage. No, it is never like that. Just like if I know how to sweep, okay, that's done. No, I should do it every day. Similarly, I should do the Shravan Kirtan every day. Not that, oh, I've read Bhagavad-gītā now. I've read all Prabhupada books. No, once I read everything, I know everything. What do I know? What do I know? So much, 100,000 times you can read Bhagavad-gītā and you will always find newer and newer things. And likewise, Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita and Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Each Upanishad, all these books. So you can go on reading many lifetimes. Still, we will have newer and newer tastes and newer, deeper realizations according to our advancement as well. And it will be relevant instructions to our advancement, our stage of advancement. For example, I cannot give a specific example, but one example is, one level is when a person is just coming into devotional service. So his understanding is, okay, I'm a servant of Krishna. I have to chant Hare Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. There is, Krishna's avatar. He asked us to chant Sankirtan movement. Okay, we'll get purified. Okay, let me start chanting. So then he starts chanting and he tries to become Krishna conscious slowly. So when he reads Bhagavad-gītā with that mindset, then he will have some understanding. Now, for example, after many years in the movement, now one becomes maybe, some kind of a managing position where he has to do more responsible service, maybe temple president or, a traveling preacher or whatever. Then, when he has to engage other people and everything, now when he reads, Bhagavad-gītā, now he will have the instruction will be relevant for how he can perfect or improve in his own service at his level now. So at all levels, and that will give him a renewed understanding of something that it was not previously possible because he did not have that stage of advancement. So as we advance, why Bhagavad-gītā appears always new and fresh? Nitya Nutana. Why always new? Because it's unfathomable in depth, first of all. And as much as we dive deeper, that much we will realize. And also, there is another verse. Let me take out this one. This is, of course, this is in the context of speaking, but also this is the same as hearing, same for hearing also. Same. This one? Yeah. 1:18:23. Aham hi prishto Aham hi prishtoryamano bhavadbhir Achaksha atmavagamotra yavan nabhah patantyatmasamam patatrinas tathā samam vishnu gatim vipaschitah. O rishis who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge allows. As the birds fly in the sky as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. Now, the sky is the limit. So the sky is unlimited. Of course, material sky has a limit, but in spiritual sky there's no limit. But for all practical purposes, from our vantage, eh, the sky has unlimited, right? So Krishna consciousness is like the unlimited sky. As far as the bird is capable, that high it can fly in the sky. But not that if the bird is can fly at maybe 10 kilometers height, that is the height of the sky. That is the maximum height of the sky. No. Maybe another bird we can fly even. Like there are some birds which are like Ruru birds. Not Ruru birds. There are some birds in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned. They fly from planet to planet. Such birds are also there. And mid-air, in the space, they lay their eggs. And then the eggs fall, and then before they fall on any planet, they hatch mid-air, and the bird will be starting to fly from there itself. So such birds are also there. Description is there in the Bhagavatam. So that bird can fly much higher than a hawk or an eagle or a vulture. So as far as the Krishna consciousness or the knowledge of Bhagavad-gītā, Bhagavatam, they are like the sky, unlimited height, or you can say the ocean, unlimited depth. As humans, we can only go until certain depth. But the whales, sharks, there are some fish, which are at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. They took a submersible, kind of small, not exactly a, what is it called, submarine. It's submersible, something like submarine, but it can take so much pressure, because when you go down and down, when now you're on the ground, you have atmospheric pressure on you. The weight of air of the Earth's atmosphere is on our head actually. We have equal force from inside also pushing, and from there also pushing. From outside also is pushing. And therefore, classic example, of a bottle. This is not a plastic bottle, but if it's a plastic bottle, right? It, when you suck the air out, what happens? It crushes. Why does it crush? You know why it crushes? Why does that? Because there is atmospheric pressure. And when the air is inside, there is also equal pushing from inside. And therefore it retains the shape. When the air is taken out, it will just become like that. So, but outside in the space, there is no pushing of air of the atmosphere. And therefore things still retain their shape and they just float, because there's no gravity or whatever. So they don't feel the gravity. So they just float like that. So, but on the earth, it crushes because there is atmospheric pressure. Now, when we go deep into the water and the air, that much pressure will be on the body. That's why a diver, scuba diver, they just can't like go and then straight go all the way fast like that. No, they must do it slowly, slowly descend. So the body can get used to that new pressure levels. And even after going such deep, they cannot just come out straight like that. They must slowly come up. Otherwise, the intense change in pressure conditions will sometimes even can kill person. So, but we can only handle a certain amount of pressure. We cannot go deeper than that. But there are fish which are at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Mariana Trench is the deepest known seabed known to man, modern man. 11 kilometers below, 11 kilometers of water. I think I do not know how many atmospheric pressures are there. Now we are under one atmospheric pressure. But I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of atmospheres is the pressure underneath at that point. There are still fish there. That means they have that kind of force from inside to counteract that pressure from the top, I mean from the outside. So their capacity lets them go so deep because they have so much strength or so much that power from within to handle that pressure. So similarly, this ocean of Krishna's, knowledge, Krishna, what is that? Bhaktira Samrita Sindhu. Sindhu means ocean. The ocean of devotion. Wow, that's rhyming. Ocean of devotion. Okay. Bhaktira Samrita Sindhu. So the ocean of devotion is fathomless. Like we can't unfathomable. Sorry, unfathomable. We cannot fathom the depth. There is no Mariana Trench, which is 11 kilometers. This is unlimited. So as much as one's devotion allows, that much deeper he can go. Or this example of the birds, as much as the sky, I mean, as much as the bird's capacity allows, that high he can fly in the sky. But the sky is the limit. So at every level, the instructions of the scriptures will be relevant. They are never irrelevant. Oh, this is basic. I have already come to a higher stage. So I have already kind of come to Karishya Vachanam Tava. I'm already doing what my Guru Maharaj has done, is ordering me. So I'm already like, you know what? I am done with Bhagavad-gītā. Next, let's go to Bhagavatam and enjoy some Ras Leela something or some some higher books. So let me go to some Rasa Tattva and no, no, no. If I think I have already realized Bhagavad-gītā, then sorry, I mean that is wrong. Because although Arjuna himself realized Bhagavad-gītā, Karishya Vachanam Tava, and Krishna stopped speaking, right? See, way after that, after the war finished, and the Pandavas ruled for about 36 years or something, Krishna left and they also started leaving. Okay? So when Krishna left this world, Arjuna felt so much separation from him, and he was losing himself because he loved Krishna so much. So he was losing himself in the separation. At that time he said this: Desha kalarha yuktani hirtapopashamani cha haranti smarataschittam govinda 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 bhihitani me. Kind of a tongue twister, the last line. Okay, now I'm attracted to those instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead Govinda because they're impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. That they're impregnated, instructions of Krishna are impregnated, sorry, the words of instructions are impregnated with instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances and space. Not that only at that point, in the war I needed the Bhagavad-gītā, now I know it, I already did it, okay, now done. Project done. Check. No. Those instructions should be, so he not only did understand at that time, but he also remembered and he's now recollecting. So this is called Shrinvan Supathan Vicharana. So he remembered whatever Krishna had said and he is meditating on those instructions to relieve himself from the burning. So what is burning in his heart? The burning of separation. That means it's not basic, it is a very high level of devotion, complete prema, viraha. And in that level also, Bhagavad-gītā is working for him. And we are not even crossing anartha nivritti, we are stuck there. Cannot come out of anartha nivritti and, oh, I am done with Bhagavad-gītā. Done. Okay? And be done with spiritual life. Go back to material life. Get out. So, so that is the thing. It is always relevant. That's why what you said, in all circumstances of time and space, the instructions are capable of relieving the burning heart. Desha kalarha, what is that? Yuktani, yes. Harit means heart. Tapa upashamani cha. Upashama means rid or remove. I mean, tapa means suffering. Hrit tapa means suffering of the heart, the burning heart. Tapa means heat also, burning. So that suffering means basically it's the, and of course his heart is suffering from separation, which is actually a transcendental situation. Our hearts are burning because samsara davanalo leadhaloka. So our hearts are burning with, problems in this material world, the suffering that we are undergoing here. So whether it's this suffering or the transcendental suffering, which is actually a kind of ecstasy, honestly, these instructions of Krishna will relieve, because then you will realize, okay, thinking of Krishna, manmana bhavamad bhakto. When he remembers this, oh, thinking of Krishna is to be with Krishna, non-different. His name, his form, his thought, his teachings are all non-different from him. So these instructions will relieve even in the transcendental, separation. Or in the material separation, which is samsara davana loka, here also it relieves us. So, desha kalartha युक्तानि हृत्ताप उपशमानि च haranti smaratas Smarata means to remember. Haranti means it will destroy. All this, let's see. Upashamani, extinguishing. Haranti, attracting. I am attracted. Haranti. Prataschittam Govinda Abhihitani. Abhihitani means teachings, what he has spoken, narrated by. Is it? Abhihitani. His instructions. So this is the thing. The teachings will. That's why we should always remember the teachings. At any situation, the teachings will not help us. You see, Arjuna is facing a situation. Of course, it's a transcendental situation. But in any situation, whether it is transcendental or mundane, the remembrance of Krishna what will relieve us from the suffering. So if we don't have any idea of what the teachings are, and if you are not constantly reading, because knowledge is not something that will stay. No, it will not stay. Because if we don't recollect every now and then and actually live and practice based on the knowledge, the realizations won't stay with us. That's why we have read the other day. Ayatayamani, chandamsi ayatayamani. Means they will never become stale for the devotee who's always engaged in serving the instructions of his spiritual master. तुष्टोऽहं भो द्विजश्रेष्ठाः सत्याः सन्तु मनोरथाः छन्दांसि अयातयामानि भवन्त्विह परत्र च. Yatayama means to become stale, and gatarasam means to become tasteless. So in the mode of ignorance, the food is described as, some of the characteristics of such foods are yatayamam gatarasam, means their food cooked 3 hours after, food that is left for more than 3 hours after cooking, that is called yatayamam. And such food is become stale, gatarasam. Rasam means taste. Gatarasam means the taste has left that food. That means it has become tasteless. So here the opposite word is used. Instead of yatayamam, ayatayamani. That means it will never become stale. It will never become tasteless. And it will never become irrelevant. So they will always stay relevant if we always serve the spiritual master. So service and constant recollection of these instructions is the way to go in spiritual life. There's a proper way to navigate in this anityam asukhaṁ lokam, in this temporary world where every step is burning, like samsara davana leadhaloka. Imaṁ prāpya bhajasva. So we must be engaged in Krishna's service. We must become steady even in this temporary world where everything is like changing. Our position is changing at every step. Our body is becoming older and circumstances around us change. So within all that, we have to remain fixed in this anityam lokam and asukhaṁ lokam. We should have constant sukha. Vishwam purna sukhayate. Krishna is saying here that asukhaṁ lokam, this place is anityam and asukhaṁ. It is temporary and miserable. But for devotee, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. Whole universe is full of happiness. Why? What is so happy in this universe? Everything is going to fail, everything is going to deteriorate, decay, and vanish, die in the course of time, or I will go away, I will die. So, what is actually Sukham here? His Sukham is not Sukham Atyantikam yat buddhigrahyam atindriyam, atindra Sukha. Atindra Sukha means Indra Sukha means Indriya Sukha means sensory happiness, sensual happiness with this senses, sense gratification. Atindriya Sukha means surpassing sensory happiness, sensual happiness, spiritual happiness, transcendental happiness, which is Krishna consciousness. So he is always in that happiness, and therefore he can navigate this whole world easily. And how to do that? Manmana bhava madbhakto, which is next verse. Madhyaji mam namaskuru, mamevaisyasi satyam te pratijane priyosme. So manmana bhava madbhakto, madhyaji mam namaskuru. These four things. If you see the translation, engage your mind always in thinking of me. One. Number two, become my devotee. Number three, offer obeisances to me. And number four, worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So, in this way, we must be engaged. So, that is the whole point of this verse. So, making the best use of our bad bargain, whatever we have, we may be differently qualified, differently situated, differently influenced by the three modes. Now, we have to unify under devotional service, use whatever we have, whatever is our tendencies in Krishna consciousness, and thus make a solution for this solution to this cycle of repeated birth and death. So I would like to stop here. Any questions or comments I will take now. Let me see. How did you control your anger with such fools? I think you're referring to is it the devotees who try to differentiate in their preaching? Is that what you're talking about? Clarify so that I can answer the question. Uh, okay, this we have read. Three 26 and purport of 329 is this is the answer of discrimination. Let's see what is that. आत्मनश्च परस्यापि यः करोत्यन्तरोदरं तस्य भिन्नदृशो मृत्युर्विदधे भयम् उल्बणम्. As the blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. That's a good verse. Very nice. Then 329:28. 27. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me, who abiding in all creatures as their who abide in all creatures as their very self. See, we have to preach to everyone. That everyone has the birthright to know Krishna and not discriminate in the matter of preaching. Jiva shrestha he ajivanam tatah pranabhritah shubhe tatah suchittah pravaras tatah chendriya vrittayah. Living entities are superior to inanimate. Okay, this one. Animals who develop consciousness are better, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. So, see, everyone should be treated alike, and if one makes the slightest discrimination, then he will be punished by the Lord. Okay. But here, immediately after that, there is discrimination of so many different levels of species and everything. So here it is said that the reason is that previous verse it was explained that living entities should be honored by charitable gifts and friendly behavior, and in this verse and in the following verses, the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as super soul. But does this mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasad. I'm actually wondering how that would work. Will the tiger eat the prasadam? Because we're not going to have meat as prasadam. I'm just wondering how that would work. Maybe he'll be guided by the super soul to eat the prasadam. I don't know. It'll be funny. Tiger eating prasadam. So anyway, we're giving him charity in the form of prasadam. Many saintly persons in the jungles do not treat the tigers in a friendly way. See, many saintly persons in the jungles do not treat the tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasad foodstuffs to them. Wow, that's interesting. So they actually do it. The tigers come, take the food, and go away just as a dog does. Wow, really? According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house because of their uncleanliness. Cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman, but are so trained that they stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasad to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but this does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. Very nice. This is very nice. Such a nice reference. This is very nice. Just how discrimination should be maintained is given in the following six verses concerning the different grades of living conditions. The first division is made between dead stone like matter and living organism. A living organism is sometimes manifested even in stone. Experience shows that some hills and mountains grow. This is due to the presence of the soul within that stone. Above that, the next manifestation of the living condition is development of consciousness. And the next manifestation is the development of sense perception. In the Moksha Dharma section of Moksha Dharma section of the Mahabharata, it is stated that trees have developed sense perception, they can see and smell. We know by experience that trees can see. Sometimes in its growth, a large tree changes its course of development to avoid some hindrances. This means that a tree can see, and according to Mahabharata, the tree can also smell. Wow. This indicates the development of sense perception. So, of course, it did not go to Tattvavit Sparshavedi. Oh, so there are more. But you see this point. Yeah. So here, according to Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house. You know what? We had a couple who came here few months back, and they were asking the devotees, and then the devotees did not know what to say. They pushed them to me, but they should have answered it. But anyway, they did not know how to answer. So the couple came to me and asked, "Prabhu, we have a small dog, and we every day we show darshan because we have Laddu Gopal in our house, and every day we show him the darshan of Laddu Gopal. So we want him to bring him to the temple and have let him have darshan of the deities, so that he'll be blessed. Is that possible? Can we bring the dog?" I said, "No, you can't." So it looks like we are not compassionate. How can dog is also after all a living entity? How can he not come into the temple? After all, it's not that the dog will pass stool or urine. They will have control of the dog. They'll just show the dog the deity, and then he will go away. All that is nice. Okay, feeling is nice, but the rule is that dogs and cats not only in the temple, in the house also they're not allowed. Okay, because if the dog sees the food or something, you cannot even offer it. And because by nature they're unclean, they're not supposed to enter the temple precincts. I said, you do one thing. You take a picture of our deities. You make a frame and put it in your house and let your dog see that frame and let the dog get this thing like that. Blessing like that. But he cannot enter the temple premises. So this is rule. Rule means rule. Ah. Um, like in olden temples, they used to have elephant processions for the Lord. So there, some animals have more of a um, privilege, like the elephant, for example. He not exactly comes right into the temple sanctum, but there is a compound and enough space for the for the elephant to actually walk around, and then the deity is placed on the elephant or something. He's paraded, and then kirtan goes on like that. So such things are there, and some animals have their presence in the temple and altar in a maybe indirect way. Of course, insects and all crawl here and there. That's one thing that we cannot do much. Of course, keep the place clean. Other than that, if they just come about a fly, a house fly, or an ant or something, we cannot do much about it. Now, animals, for example, chamara, that we do, uh, we wave it for the Lord in the arati. So that is actually a yak's tail. Yak is a animal in the Himalayan regions, like mountainous regions, and the yak's tail is the source of this. That the white thing is the yak's tail. So that's an animal thing. And then peacock feather we use for Krishna. The conch shell is the bone of the what is it? The animal. I mean, I think it's a snail or I don't know what. They have this thing. So that is a bone. Bones are completely you cannot even keep, but conch shell you can. So it's an exception because that is the rule. Just like any stool is we cannot use, but cow dung is we use it in yajna also. Use it as fuel. We use it as we can use it. And in the installation ceremony, cow dung is also used to pour on the Lord for abhishek. Gomutra, cow urine. We cannot do that with any other animal. Of course, cows are allowed into the temple. Cows are of course mother. So in this way, some animals have more privilege than others, and some they can enter. But dogs cannot, cats cannot. You're not supposed to. So if it's a rule, it's a rule. That's it. So distinction is there. But how did you come up with this reference 329:26 and 329:28? Like, how did you know that this was here mentioned? Are you reading this part of the Bhagavatam, or like you saw somebody quote this for some? I'm just curious. Okay, so this version of the verse is in the Vishnu Sahasranam. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायति samarpayami. So this is in the Vishnu Sahasranama. But in the Bhagavatam, because here it's from the first person, samarpayami means I am offering all these things that I have. Prakrite swabhavat. Whereas in the Bhagavatam verse, there's a slight change, and it is common in Vedic verses where it is. So in this Bhagavatam verse, it is more like an instruction. Like, let me go to that verse again. आयेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा अनुसृतस्वभावात् करोति यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयेत् तत्. Samarpayet means one must offer. So it's an instruction to people. Whereas here, samarpayami, I am offering. So that's from the Vishnu Sahasranam. This is from the Bhagavatam. So there are, so if we know the Sanskrit grammar, then we will know in which context it is, why the difference is there, like that. And sometimes there is slight differences to convey a slightly different meaning. For example, 934. Okay? मन्मनाभव मद्भक्तो मध्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि युक्त्वैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः. Now, 18.65. This was 934. Now 1865 of Bhagavad-gītā. You see. मन्मनाभव मद्भक्तो मद्याजी माम नमस्कुरु मामे वैश्यसि satyam te pratijane priyosi me. The second two lines are different. First two lines are same. So like this, you will find a lot in the Vedic scriptures. Okay, so purport of 335. Yes. Yes, this is Swabhava. Bhagavad-gītā it is said Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmat Swanushtitat. This is 1847, I think. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties even though they may be faulty than another's duties perfectly. The antyajas, the men of the lower classes, are accustomed to stealing, drinking, and illicit sex, but that is not considered sinful. Wow. See? For example, if a tiger kills a man, this is not sinful. But if a man kills another man, this is considered sinful. And the killer is hanged. What is a daily affair among the animals is a sinful act in human society. Thus, according to the symptoms of higher and lower sections of society, there are different varieties of occupational duties. According to the experts in Vedic knowledge, these duties are prescribed in terms of the age concerned. Now, Antyajas, so they are accustomed to stealing, drinking, and illicit sex, but that is not considered sinful. Now, what does that mean? Of course, there is this thing, but there is a verse, and actually in 11th canto, which is saying that I need to find that verse. If somebody can help me out, that will be very helpful. It's basically saying, just a second. It's basically saying that when one has fallen to the lowest already, how low can he go? He's already at the bottom. So there is nothing more he can do to go even further lower. He's at the abyss. He's at the seabed already. So he cannot go further down. So those who are so low in their thing, for them, the sinful activities are not as they're already at the bottom, so they won't feel much like they're going down or something. They're already at the bottom. Such verses there. I don't know how the translation is even worded or the verse is worded, but I have seen that Prabhu showed me once. I think in the 11th canto, that's how I remember. Maybe I'm wrong also, but I think it is 11th canto. When he has fallen so badly, then, he's already at rock bottom. So he can only be elevated at that point. He cannot like go further down because he's already at the bottom. Like for example, right, Antyajas, you find those tribes in Africa, hunter-gatherer tribes. Um, they they hunt for their food. There was an interesting interview. I think I shared it in the KI Krishna Inspiration WhatsApp group. It's very interesting. You know, this white man. I mean, he's from America, I guess, and then of course, he's at least more civilized than that tribals. So, of course, we have an expanded understanding of at least something around us. So he went there with a guy who can speak English and their language, their tribal language. And that man is an African man, and his family is coming from that, but he was somehow exposed to like modern civilization. He actually went to school and learned English, so he can do both the languages. Now, interesting thing is, this man, this American, he went to that tribe, and he just wanted to observe their lifestyle. Of course, he ate with them. He ate whatever crap they were eating, all meat and all kind of stuff. It was horrible. He could not. It was quite bad even for him. I think he must be a meat eater, so for him also it tasted and smelled bad. So I don't know what they were eating. So whatever it is, so he kind of stayed with them, and along with this translator, and at one point, they were just so he wanted to follow them on a hunt. So they hunt this animal called kudu. Kudu is like a deer, but it's bigger than deer. Um, though this kudu, they were hunting, and they hunt one animal for like 8 hours. They run. They run for 8 hours, and occasionally they will sip a little bit of water. Maximum. That's the max. So he was trying to follow them on foot. And then they were running and running and running, and then they were not stopping. The stamina is so much. And then he would try to keep up, and he was panting. He was like, I want water, I want this, I want that. And he was just like, he was just sitting, how to catch it? Like, bring the vehicle. We will go and then continue again. Like this. Then they were like, the tribals were saying to the translator, did he ever not hunt at all? How does he eat? They were asking like that. Did he ever hunt in his life? Like how does he survive? That's their understanding. If you don't hunt, you don't survive. You can't survive, because that's their understanding of life. So who is this? How come he hasn't learned any hunting? Who is he? So that much they are, almost isolated from the modern world. I mean, this civilized world. So for them, it was amusing that he could not run. And anyway, after so much of running and running, they caught the animal, because the animal was running and running and running. He got tired. The animal got tired, and he just collapsed. The animal collapsed, and they have this spear and all. They just kill the animal, and then said some prayers and something, and they carried the animal and then ate. All the whole village, I think, I don't know, everybody eats. So in this way, he was just following them. So one time, he was sitting with them. It was a documentary kind of video. So he spent some time. So you try to talk to them also, right? So to know like what they think, how is their like outlook on life. So he sat down with the translator and with those tribal chiefs and some people there. So he was asking them. So I think there were 3 or 4 people there, 2 3 people or whatever, and some boy also was there, like a teenager boy. So he said, "What do you think about life?" The translator translated for them. Life, we live. You should actually. I don't even remember the entire answers, but it was like they don't think much. So and then he said, "Do you believe in a God? How this creation was made? The God. What is your the God? What is God? So and then so he tried. Okay, maybe this is too much for them. Then he asked, "What do you think about the moon? When you see the moon, what do you think?" Then he translated. Then the guy said, the teenager boy, he was the young guy in the village who is very capable, who he's seen as the future leader of the tribe. So that boy said, yeah, that moon always spoils our hunts. When there's a full moon, we can't hunt because the animals get to see us, and then we can't hunt. When it's not there, yes, we can hunt successfully. That's all his understanding. Immediately, it's like a retort. He just asked the question, yeah, that moon, when it's full, it disturbs our hunting. When it's not there, yeah, that's peaceful. We can hunt our animal. That's it. I mean, there is no other thought. There's no like, what is the sky? What is this, all these shining stars? Like no thinking more than they're antyajas, almost on the level of animals. So when he said like that, then I understood, okay, how an animal sees its world and what it makes out of the world. Like when it sees the moon and when it sees the sun, of course we have a different thing. Okay, it's a different planet and all that. We sometimes think that okay, animals also are seeing the sun. They also might know something high up in the sky, but they don't actually think that much. It's just light is there, maybe something is light. So for them it's like they have to find the food, that's it. Their level of consciousness is like that. So these people, they are on the level of animals. Just animals, just to have a human body. There's just, I think, coming out of animal life, maybe evolving. The soul is evolving into a human life slowly, slowly, and then they'll come out. So these kinds of people, you can't expect them to like really, you know, do anything other than what they're doing. Like they're animals almost. They're just two-legged, but animals. We, at least civilized forms of life, we have this higher, you know, brain power to understand higher subject matters. And that's why the Brahmanas are so high, because even among the so-called civilized, actually, they are like, okay, truly barbaric. They don't even like, their thinking also is very not very advanced. But you see the Western world, they do think actually, but still their habits are on the level of animals. They're like eating meat and all this. So they have intelligence, but it has not been exposed to proper lifestyle and proper understanding of life. So their understanding of life is also very, very stunted. That does not mean, of course, if they have the intelligence, that means they have to use it. But some people just don't have the intelligence. They're just like these animals, almost. They know nothing. So in their thing, stealing, drinking, illicit sex, you know, these are like almost norms. Just like in the animals. Animals, it's all. If humans do the same thing, like this is what Prabhupada said, what is a daily affair in the animal kingdom is a sinful act in human society. You see. So, for example, I mean, the lions. I mean, even, let's say the pigs. The pigs have sex with everybody. Mother, sister, daughter, doesn't matter. Dog, they just don't matter. They just have sex. And um, lions, for example, they, I mean, it's ruthless actually almost for us. And even not only lions, even birds I have seen. For example, lions, the males, they roam around, protect the territory, and then they find some female. They defeat one male, and then take over his territory. His territory means he will have his own females and children. So, in order to mate with the female, now the female has to mate with this male, the new male now. And for her to do that, this new male who killed the old male or defeated him or whatever, usually end up in killing, he will go and destroy the children, the lion cubs of that female with the died male. He will go and first kill all the children, the cubs. Then, and of course, the mother will try to fight, but he will just beat the mother up and then kill the children, the cubs. Then she wants children. Now he has taken over this pride, so he is now the in charge. So she has to mate with him now to get children. So in that way, she will mate again with him. So that's in order for him to have his own children and of course enjoy sex with her. She wouldn't enjoy sex with him if she has her own children. So it's a psychology of the because she wants to maintain them and she sees him as like a disturbance to the family, and then he will become jealous. So that's why he doesn't want all these problems. He just wants to kill. He will kill the cubs, and then he will impregnate her, and then she will have cubs again, and then that is his family. Then he won't kill. And then, but if another lion comes and defeats him and kills him, then he will kill all the cubs of this pride, and then again tries to mate with that female. So the female will have sex with so many males, and of course the males also. Yeah, they have a few females in the pride, so and a few males, so they will have just sex anywhere and everywhere. Monkeys do sex everywhere. I mean, with anyone. And I have seen some birds. They have children. I mean, small, baby birds. And sometimes the weaker ones, the mother just doesn't give them food. She just wants them to die because she thinks that they can't survive this in this world, and it's too much work to like try to protect them when they're weak, and they cannot even like fly with me, like they cannot come so fast. Then I have to always be concerned about this child. They will actually not give food to the child and starve him, and sometimes they will actually with the beak you know kill him, kill the child, their own child. So I mean there are things which in the animal life are so horrible. In human life you can't think about this, like it's very cruel and very inhumane. But you should understand one thing: they are not humans, so therefore it will be inhuman. So it's animalistic, barbaric. So in this way, it really cannot be considered a sin because they are on that level. They're just there. Of course, it is already a sinful position that they're in. They're at rock bottom almost. So you cannot expect more than that from them. So that's why. But anyway, they have to be slowly elevated. Okay, so anything else? Saurav Sahu, I have digestion problem. What to do? I am not a doctor. You go and show yourself to a doctor, please. Why are you? Why are you asking this kind of stuff? Prabhupada said that unwanted guests and disease will go away if you don't give them food. Okay, that's a good one. Excess amount of eating is the root of the problem. Well, it's become a medical session here. Sometimes Dimitri Prabhu is asking, sometimes when I go through some difficulties, I'm able to recall the teachings but not always able to follow them. Should I beat the mind harder at this moment? So this is another thing, right? To remember the instruction but not be able to follow it. And yeah, this is where we have to focus our mind. Chant Hare Krishna, focus our mind to follow the instruction. Pray to. See, remember instruction is one thing, but unless there is the mercy of the spiritual master, we cannot execute on it. So we should always pray to Prabhupada, please give me the strength to do this. I want to do this. I want to focus on this. And if you're unable to focus, just chant Hare Krishna. So somehow or other, we must bring our focus because otherwise, we are just um, undermining our own progress. So yeah, and then maybe stay in the association of devotees. That will of course help. That's why we should be an association of devotees. Because alone, I'm telling you, it's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. So we have to stay in the association of devotees so that it'll become easier for us to follow things. And even we can reveal our mind, like guhyamakhyati prichhati. We can inquire confidentially, and they will discuss, they will show some verses, or they will share their experiences, or they will share what they saw another devotee did, or something like that. Okay, then maybe they'll, let's do this way. Okay, maybe I will check on you. You take me as a, like a, what is that, buddy? What is that? Accountability buddy. Okay, make yourself accountable to me. Okay, I will check on you. Okay, you do this. So push each other, something like this. So there is like camaraderie between the devotees. That's why devotee association helps. 327.20. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again since its cause is not ceased. Wow, you're bringing up all these nice verses. That's good. 327.20. Somehow not registered all these things in my mind. Don't even remember seeing them. These are good verses. क्वचित् तत्त्वमर्षेण निवृत्तं भयमुल्बणम् अनिवृत्तनिमित्तत्वात् पुनः प्रत्यवतिष्ठते. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again since its cause is not ceased. Does dream of illicit sex, is it, actually count as illicit karma or not? Dreams are not within your control. But I think by chanting more and more, I think those dreams also will stop. Actually, that's a thing. When you chant, you will not actually dream anymore. Almost, you will hardly have any dream. Whereas before, you will have a lot of dreams. Hardly you will have a dream when you become, when you chant and become devotee. Hardly you will have dreams unless one is advanced enough to have Krishna dreams and all that. How a Kanishta devotee should talk with hardcore atheist? Wrong question. one should not remain a Kanishta Adhikari. That's the thing. So Krishna will give you intelligence. If you're talking to an atheist, then you give him the benefit of doubt that, of course, when you're talking to an atheist and trying to preach to him, it's trying to come to the second class platform. But then you must know your stuff as well to effectively counter his arguments and invite him into Krishna consciousness. So you give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not envious of the Lord. Even if he shows some seeming envy, it may be only because he did not hear anyone speak about this topic in a sensible way. And because he has not met any such person, he may have this predisposition. And therefore, give him some, space and tell him, actually, logically, sensibly explain to him what is the philosophy. And I usually say like this when I meet atheists and I try to sell books to them. Sometimes, they will take a book, sometimes not. But this is what I usually say. Okay, I don't blame that you're an atheist, because there is no systematic education about theistic science, and therefore you're not aware of this side of things. But I certainly know that you're an intelligent person because you're not accepting anything on blind faith. But in the presence of evidence or in the presence of acceptable arguments, you should consider. While it is intelligence to not readily accept anything without proper explanation, it is also a display of intelligence to not immediately reject anything without sufficient evidence. So, I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you have not heard properly about God and how He actually exists and how He conducts Himself and how everything is in relation with the Lord. So, if I present arguments or if I present something, some food for thought for you, if you can consider that with an open mind, so you should always explore. Since you're already exploring so many things in the material world, I request you to explore this thought as well. That if there are so many things in this world that are created by people, do you think the entire creation itself has no creator? If there is a painting, there is an artist. If there is a building, there is an engineer. So if there is everything, there is a person behind it or a group of persons behind it. It's ultimately come to a person. So how can you say there was creation and yet there was no creator? Now, you may not see the creator, just like I may not see the prime minister of the country. I need to qualify myself in order to see. So let's put that aside, that I cannot see. So seeing is believing. So you show me God and I'll believe God. If we qualify, we can go. If I can't qualify myself to even see the prime minister, how can I expect to qualify to see God? Because God reserves the right to stay invisible to those who don't want to see Him, not interested in seeing Him. He's also not interested to show Himself to them. So let's put all that aside. When you see a painting, you're not going to see the artist, but you know there was an artist behind the painting. He did the painting, whoever it is, there was an artist. It was not just an accidental splash of paint on a wall or on canvas, and then there was this beautiful painting that came about. So definitely it was not an accident. Although you may not immediately see the artist. Maybe the artist is on the other side of the globe. You don't even know. So similarly, you may not immediately see God, but there is a stage where you can see. But now, look at the painting, look at the engineering of this cosmos. If I require intelligence of thousands of scientists to put a spacecraft into the orbit, into the space, how much more intelligence is required to put all the planets in space, in their specific orbits, with life, to sustain life? All this, how is it? Is it just a freak accident that there was this huge ball of fire that is the sun, and there is this planet called Earth, and then somehow some combination of atoms and something brought about life, and then the sun is just at the perfect distance to the Earth to support the life on Earth. If it was a little bit nearer, it would have been scorched. If it was near a little bit farther, everything would have been frozen. That delicate balance, how is it? Do you think all that is an accident? You really think? I mean, if you think the car you're driving is accidentally just working perfectly fine when you're pressing this, and that's foolishness on your part. So I don't think you're a fool. So therefore, you should consider this point, that how can you deny? Instead of, you know, um, 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 non-existence until the existence is proven. Instead of taking that approach, I would, that means to consider God as non-existent until you can prove to me that God exists. Instead of that, you approach it in another way. Until proven otherwise, how can you deny the presence of God? How can you say there is no one behind, there's no brain behind such systematic systems? I mean, procedures and everything. Laws. We call law of gravity. We call law of physics. Laws of. So some scientists have discovered and come up with a formula, but he did not invent gravity. He did not invent these physical laws, or electrical laws, or chemical laws, or whatever it is. He did not invent them. They were already there in existence. He just discovered them. They were covered, and somebody discovered them, uncovered them, or brought them to light. So, but the laws were already there. So, who set the laws in motion? Not the one who discovered the laws should get the credit. How can we say it is Newtonian laws of physics? No, because he did not make the law. God had the law before. So, law means there is a lawmaker. So, in this way, we have to speak to him, um, you know, sensibly. So then, of course, instead of going into an endless argument and endless conversation like that, so I say, you see, so there are many such, uh, you know, how to say, ideas that are in this book Bhagavad-gītā, which is actually, to be very, I mean, it may be interesting to you, but God personally spoke this, and God actually came into this world 5,000 years ago in the presence of everyone, and He actually spoke this. And there's no reason to not, I mean, to doubt this, because God can do anything. That's by definition, God can do anything. So He takes mercy upon fallen souls, and He actually spoke. And even whether you believe it or not, just take the content for what it is. Does it make sense to you? You just judge. So since you have explored, you must have been reading so many books, right? Then they will say yes, or I see, I mean, read some, and I ask, okay, you have explored so many things in your life, right? Why don't you explore one more thing and make an informed decision? I don't think it is intelligent on your part to have an opinion without having sufficient knowledge about something. So, since you're intelligent, you should go through it, and then it is up to you. You can decide whether it is, something nonsense, or whether it makes sense. Then, so that experiment is what I'm offering you. Please take one book and give it a try. Well, that's all I say. So you can say like that to them. Okay, Prashant Singh. Can we read Bhagavatam from second canto if we don't have first? Get the first canto, no? What is so difficult? Get the first canto. I mean, you can read, but honestly, you should go from the first in the order, because Vedavyas wrote the Bhagavatam for a particular reason. Of course, yeah, you can read, but then the continuity will be lost. I mean, you will have a more. He constructed the whole Bhagavatam in a certain way to convey this whole science to us in a proper structured manner. So we should honor that. So get a first canto of Bhagavatam. That's all I would say. If you really, really, really don't have, then you just go online. I mean, prabhupadbooks.com. You can read the first canto of Bhagavatam there. So I advise you to do that if you can. Okay. Hare Krishna is saying, referring to people who said that preaching too much to donors will turn them into devotees. Oh Krishna, this really happened? So weird times. Hare Krishna League. Yeah. Oh, that's what you're saying, referring to how did I keep my cool? How did I not get angry? Well, I was actually prepared for that. I mean, I knew this thing that they had. Um, how angry means what will happen? I just have to enlighten them. But I could not do much of it because it was very less time we were going off actually. But I just showed him that the 5:18:22 purport, Srimad Bhagavatam, where let me show you. Let me show you that. In the context of Maya Sita and real Sita. So Lakshmi Devi, people pray to Lakshmi Devi for wealth, but actually the materialistic people they're not blessed by Lakshmi Devi. She is saying it is Durga Devi. I mean, of course, here in this verse, she says, I don't bless them. See what Lakshmi says to Narayan. O Supreme Unconquerable Lord, when they become absorbed in thoughts of material enjoyment, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as well as other demigods and demons, undergo severe penances and austerities to receive my benedictions. But I do not favor anyone, however great he may be, unless he is always engaged in the service of your lotus feet. Because I always keep you within my heart, I cannot favor anyone but a devotee. So Lakshmi Devi favors only a devotee. Then non-devotees also have wealth. What is that? So Prabhupada explains that this is actually not um, Lakshmi Devi, that is a favor of Durga Devi. You see, sometimes a materialist becomes very opulent in the eyes of another materialist. Although that is the case, such opulence is bestowed upon him by the goddess Durga Devi, a material expansion of goddess of fortune, not by Lakshmi Devi herself. Then he says, just like Ravan, he wanted Sita, but actually what he got was Maya Sita. And Lakshmi Devi is a goddess of fortune. But Ravana experienced only misfortune after that because everything was destroyed. His Swarna, golden Lanka, became ashes Lanka, Bhasma Lanka. Swarna Lanka became Bhasma Lanka. So everything was misfortune. His dynasty was lost. Everybody gone. He himself died. So that is Durga Devi, which is Srishti Sthiti Pralaya. Pralaya means destruction. So Durga Devi is her jurisdiction is this. So in the same way, in that tone, he said something here. See here. Just like Lakshmi and Durga, like spiritual and material counterparts, this Maya Sita or Maya Lakshmi, which is actually Durga. So similarly, we have actually seen, Prabhupada says, that one of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to enjoy the property of his spiritual master, and the spiritual master, being merciful toward him, gave him the temporary property, but not the power to preach the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu all over the world. That special mercy of the power to preach is given to a devotee who does not want anything material from his spiritual master, but wants only to serve him. So this point I showed him that you see, because they were showing their whole property, big temple and everything. I said it's good. I mean, I'm not saying it's not good. It's good. We must worship the Lord opulently. But if with all this opulence, I put myself in a position where I cannot speak the truth, what is the use of such opulence? With all the opulence, I should be able to preach. The opulence should be used in Krishna's service. And Krishna's service does not only mean that we have to have a temple and everybody comes and take darshan and kirtan and feel good, feel nice. No, their illusions must be cut. Okay. And um, truth must be preached. And these Maya Paharita Jnana communities must be smashed. These scientific philosophical communities, big talk they'll do, we have to smash. And Prabhupada was doing that. He was pushing the boundaries of preaching. He was entering into all realms of when he would speak with politicians. He's saying, yes, you must give all your crime. You are spending millions of dollars on crime prevention or crime, to rectify the criminals. But in the prisons department, police department, you are doing so much, and then not only money spent, but also a lot of anxiety for people because there are criminals around and all these things. All that thing can be saved if you allow us to do the Sankirtan movement. Help us to organize everywhere. Give us land. Give us place where we can freely perform. We should, and don't arrest our devotees when they're on the street chanting, because that is a solution. Why are you arresting them? They're distributing books which will actually enlighten the people, and they will come out of this criminal mentality. We are helping you. Prabhupada put to, so when he was speaking with government officers, he was not just like, ha ha ha, Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is our temple, and this is deities. We worship our Indian god, Krishna. Yeah, this is our religion. Yeah, here is prasadam, and go. No, no. Speak to them, pushing them to serve. So, and then explaining to them also that this is the way. That once they're God conscious, then they will get all the good qualities, and then bad qualities will automatically go. So let us do this. This will actually help in, but they were not interested. So whether they're interested or not, that doesn't matter. This is the thing. These people, these so-called devotees who preach, differently to donors and differently to politicians, differently to influencers, and then differently to the ordinary masses. So this kind of distinction in preaching, that is nonsense. They actually are fearing public opinion. If somebody, say, if he's displeased with us, that is not good. So we should please everyone. So then they end up pandering to the public, to their opinions. So Prabhupada said preaching means not to adjust our knowledge to their ideas, but adjust their ideas to our knowledge. They should change, not we change. We will remain where we are. Okay, they must change their idea. We should push that. Not that, of course, we should explain in a way that they will understand, but it's not that we will remove any detail from the truth to make it palatable to them. We don't need to, okay, another thing is we don't need to explain everything also at the first instance. Okay. Tasmat kenap upayana mana Krishna niveshayet. Somehow or other attract them to Krishna and then, introduce slowly. Like conversation should be there, free flowing conversations, and then let them express whatever the doubts they have. Because rich people, they have so many things. They're tired of people who are only coming to them for wealth. They may be pious, they may give to temple and all that, but if they want to have a discussion, we should be available to them, and yeah, throw all your questions to me, then we will discuss all this subject. So yeah, and then push them. Okay, chant, give them book, give them. In this way, we must preach. We must push the thing, and then get them to accept. Or if they're just like rotten, they just don't want to give. Okay, give the money. Fine, I will go to preach to someone who will listen. So that kind of people are also there. I don't deny, but it's not that we should not preach the real thing to the donors. Keep them in that level. That is not agreeable. Whoever, it's not that because he's donating, all donors should be treated in this way. No, some donors will be more inquisitive. Some are not. They say, hey, go, don't talk to me anything. Go take money. I know you're doing some good thing. Okay, fine, do. So that kind of people are also there. They do this kind of people are also okay. We'll take and go to the next one. But if somebody is actually wanting, hey, I want to know more or something like that, he's a donor. We cannot do. We cannot preach. Then he will not be a donor. Then I'll be scolded by my superiors. That why you are preaching so much to this donor. These things are happening. Tell you, it's very irritating to even hear these things. How should we remember Krishna while serving? So we should just serve. We should be attentively serving. That's it. I'm doing this for the pleasure of Krishna. So let me do it for Krishna and let me do it with full attention. That's it. Just like when I do my job, many people they may do their job in a grudging way. Oh, I just want a salary. I just show my face here and then go. But those who are a little bit passionate about their job, they actually like their job and do it. How much ever they like, that's not the only factor that's pushing them, right? Money is also a factor. If they're not paid for that, however much they like the job, if the money is not there, they say job satisfaction, but if the money is not there, they will not work. So there has to be an incentive for them to work hard, even at their own craft, at their own a craft which they're comfortable with. But in devotional service, there's no such incentive. There's no such um, salary or bonus or anything like that. So how to keep serving Krishna? But this is for Krishna service. So not sense for my pleasure. For Krishna's, I should do the best for Krishna. Out of love, just like mother, she will want to always give the best thing to the child because of her love for the child. So like that, we should always give the best out of love. This is so. How to remember? Yeah, this is I'm doing this for Krishna, so I should do the best possible way. If I'm sweeping the floor, let me sweep the temple of Krishna very clean. All those nooks and corners which nobody looks at, go there and do remove that also, and then make everything clean. So that's so everything attentive. Actually, Mandir Marjan Seva, Gundicha Marjan Leela is there of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can see how he was collecting. The competition was how much dust each devotee will collect. So everybody was like searching every nook and corner and then collecting dust and somehow. So that was a competition. Who would collect more dust, more you know, yeah, dust and other things. Is Narada Muni a permanent position like Shiva or Vishnu or anybody can become Narada Muni after great tapasya? I don't know if it's a post or not. Um, I don't know if it's a post or if it's an individual person. I mean, a unique person. My thinking, my speculation is that he's an individual person. I don't think it's a post because he's a Devarshi. Devarshi is a post. Like Brahmarshi is a post. Like Indra, that position is a post. But the name may be something. So Narada is a name, and the Devarshi, because for all the Devas there are rishis also. Like Brahmarshi, the chief of among the Brahmarshis is who's that? I think Brihaspati, or he's also Deva. Mm, anyway, I'm mixing up few things here. But so there is post like the priest of the heavenly planets, the spiritual master of the demigods, Brihaspati. So like that. So Devarshi Narada, and there is so he's the rishi among the devas. Rishi among the brāhmaṇas is Brahmarshi. So like that, there are classifications. So anyway, I think the Saptarishi also is a post, and then maybe different rishis will occupy that post in a different millennia. Like Manu is a post, but Manu's name will be different each time. So maybe Devarshi is the post and Narada is the name of the person. This is what I'm thinking. But if there is reference to the contrary, I will accept that. I am speaking without any reference at this point, so I don't know. Rajagishwar Prabhu is saying there are some temples in South India where the first thing the deity is shown in the morning when the altar opens is the back portion of the cow. Yes. Yes. And not only for South India, even our temple deity installation procedure, the first things that the deity is shown when installing, when the netron milana, when the eyes are open, is the back portion of the cow as well, the udder of the cow. So that is also there in our thing. In fact, that's what Krishna sees every morning as well. Oh, Devala is saying I'm reading that part of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. I was thinking, where did you come out with these verses, man? Far out verses. It's good that you're actually noting down that those verses that they say this thing. Okay, Devala is saying when someone goes to the lokas of Mahakali or Shiva, it should be considered as liberation or what? Because they don't change. I mean, no one can become Mahakali or Shiva. No, Devi Dham is this material world. So, and Shiva Loka, I mean, the Sadashiva Loka is there, um, Kailash Dham. But every universe also has Kailash Dham, and Bhuloka also has a Kailash Dham. Like Kailash Parvat is there on the earth. I mean, I think in China now, Tibet or one. So, but that means from there you can actually maybe there's a portal to go, subtle pathway to go to the Kailash as well. Because in Himalayas there are so many magical things which ordinary people don't know. It extends far beyond the visible geography of that place. There are so many portals which are mentioned in the Mahabharata, which we don't have access to. So anyway, Sadashiva Loka is kind of eternal, just below the Brahma Jyoti. But there also it is not completely, they're not fully satisfied there. There's something. Then under Lord Shiva's guidance, then they will climb higher and higher, and then go to Vaikuntha Loka. Hmm. But usually, Shiva worshippers are not really extremely devoted to Shiva. They're, see, Kamaistaisthir Hritagnyana Prapadyante Anyadev. They come to demigods for their own prestige, that kind of stuff. They're not really like very devoted to a particular demigod, or not even that, you see. Let's see this one. 10.88.11. Yeah. अतो मां सुदुराराध्यं हेत्वान्यान् भजते जनः ततस्त आशुतोषेभ्यो लब्धराज्यश्रेयोद्धताः. Krishna is saying this. Because I am difficult to worship, people generally avoid me and instead worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. When people receive kingly opulences from these deities, they become arrogant, intoxicated with pride, and neglectful of their duties. They dare to offend even the demigods who have bestowed benedictions upon them. So this is usually where demigods actually head towards. All the Shiva worshippers and all, uh, you know, they are not anywhere close to spiritual, understanding. They just have their own materialistic thing, and some people are speculators. And still, there are no principles that are followed. Many things they do not know. Even Mayavadis have some principles, like Shankaracharya. He had strict principles. Nowadays, they just speculate, and do anything and everything, and then still, oh, I'm a worshipper of Shiva. What are they actually doing, we don't know. So, they are not going anywhere. They can't go anywhere. So, another thing I wanted to show. Yeah, anyway. Forgot. This is this one, next one. No, it's not this. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's what I wanted to show. I'll show that. Okay, let's see this also. Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, and others are able to bless or curse anyone. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are very quick to curse or bestow benedictions, my dear king, but the infallible Supreme Lord is not. And let's see another thing. Yeah. In the material consciousness, however, even one who is situated in the mode of goodness is susceptible to pollution by the modes of passion and ignorance. When the mode of goodness is mixed with the mode of passion, one worships the sun god, Vivaswan. When the mode of goodness is mixed with the mode of ignorance, one worships Ganapati or Ganesh. When the mode of passion is mixed with the mode of ignorance, one worships Durga or Kali, the external potency. When one is simply in the mode of ignorance, one becomes a devotee of Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva is the predominating deity of the mode of ignorance within this material world. However, when one is completely free from the influence of all the modes of material nature, one becomes a pure Vaishnava on the devotional platform. So people are of this nature actually. You know. So mostly they don't go to any Shivaloka or Kailash Dham or anything. That is a very, very high position of those who are exceptionally almost liberated. They are very great jnanis who are in the Kailash Dham. But there they receive further instructions from Shiva and climb higher to Vaikuntha Loka if they are fortunate. But otherwise they can come down because even in Brahma Jyoti you can come down from Brahma Jyoti. So Brahma Jyoti is higher than Kailash Dham. That means from Kailash Dham also you can come down. If you don't take to devotional service, you will fall down. Aruhya krichrena parampadam tathā patanti adha anadrita yushmad angraya. So that should answer your question because you will fall down from there. No other place other than Vaikuntha Dham is Yad gatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Krishna says, my abode, once you reach, then you will not fall down. But any other place, even Brahma Jyoti, which is considered spiritual sky, the effulgence of the Lord Himself, still you can fall down. Right? केन्येरविन्दाक्षविमुक्तमानिनः स्त्रय्यस्तभावादविशुद्धबुद्धय आरुह्य कृच्छ्रेण परं पदं ततः पतन्त्यथो नाधृतयुष्मधङ्ग्रयः. Although non-devotees who accept severe austerities and penances to achieve the highest position may think themselves liberated, their intelligence is impure. This is people who have achieved Brahmajyoti. They are impure. Intelligence is impure. What to speak of Kailash Dham then? They fall down from their position of imagined superiority because they have no regard for your lotus feet. If we have no regard for Krishna's lotus feet, we will fall down. So, what is that? Daivi hiesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaya prapadyante maya metam dharantite. Only Vishnu's lotus feet, Krishna's lotus feet, are the immunity for against Maya. There is no other recourse. Okay. But if we have to go to Satyalok, we have to come again. Yeah. No, even if you go to Kailash Dham, we have to come. If we don't become devotee. I think you're reading 7:11:31 instead of 3:35. Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw her later on. The number is stuck. No, I think it was not stuck. Probably. Maybe. I don't know. This glitch happens, but he actually at verse 3:35. Maybe. Yeah. This isn't 3:35. Okay, whatever. Hmm. Debale is asking, Prabhu, if you have time, please make a detailed video on Vishnu Tattva and Shiva Tattva. Yeah, because so many Hindus are not very clear about this and they find it conflicting when we say that Vishnu is the only supreme. Yeah. Debale again. Debale is always full of questions. Atha the Brahma Jigyasa, Brahma Sutra Shloka 1. It is very easy to say for devotees, but it's very, very, very hard for normal human being who's chewing the chewed material things just like dog. Why this mathematician conclude infinity as zero at the end? Why they don't take God as God, not like us? I don't know what you're talking about. Which mathematician? If someone engaged in illicit with one's own siblings, what will happen to that person? Will he be forgiven? No, he will have to be punished. Illicit sex, you mean, right? He will have to be punished. So this is all incest. This is all sinful activity. Not that I will chant some Hare Krishna, then I will be forgiven. Then I can again do the same nonsense and again come back to Hare Krishna. There is seventh offense. So namno baladyasya hi papa buddhi, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. So that also won't be allowed. Krishna won't allow that. Krishna will not forgive that. You have to give up and chant Hare Krishna. Then there is some hope. If we chant offenselessly, so we have to chant for we have to take up and never go back to that sinful life again. If one has done, but if one has done and is not doing anything and is not even a devotee or something like that, then he will be punished. Devali, sorry to ask, but what's your favorite sloka in Bhagavad-gītā or Srimad Bhagavatam which makes you unbelievable or stunned and continue bhakti even more harder? Don't ask me this kind of questions. Ask me something relevant to the topic at hand. What is favorite and all this? There is no favorite. If anything, Karishya Vachanam Tava is what we should take away from Bhagavad-gītā. That is the whole point. Because it is the transition of from Sambandha to Abhideya. Okay? We have understood, okay, to an extent what is Krishna. Now I must engage in Krishna's service. So Karishya Vachanam Tava A Mantra Siddhi, Prabhupada said. So of all mantras, Karishya Vachanam Tava is mantra siddhi, the perfection of mantra, because now we have to do, not act for Krishna. So if anything, yeah, that is what I would say. The third canto is very interesting, and Prabhupada purport is like cream in the cake. Actually, doctors are saying unstable subconscious mind is the reason of dream, and Prabhuji, when we dream, is our subtle body leave the gross body. That's how Prabhupada explained. The subtle body is traveling here and there and then coming back. Um, Subtle body's travel is, you know, more mysterious than a gross body's travel. You know, when a subtle body is going away and then it's still there, it is still in the body, but it can go. So it's a bit more. It's a non-physical. I mean, It's not exactly like it's not governed by the laws that our gross body is governed by. So just like if I can think of my you know hometown in India, so I can immediately picturize that place in my mind. That is like saying that place like I'm there, but actually I'm still here. My mind is still here. So its travel is different. It's different from just a gross body's travel. Because if the subtle body has gone, then the soul has to go with it, right? Because subtle body itself, it's just an instrument. The soul is the one which is experiencing everything through these false ego and through the senses. I mean, subtle and gross body. So if the soul leaves the body, that means the body is doing what then? How can the body still be like, going on? So the soul is of course still in the body, and the subtle body can travel. I mean, in the sense that it can think of so many things, it can do so many things, and it can feel like it is already there somewhere else. Although still the soul is still in this body, so it's a bit more subtle. You know, you know that avatar of Hamsa avatar and Matsya avatar. Brahma, the Vedas were stolen from him, and Hamsa avatar, I think the Madhu demon or somebody who was took the Vedas or something. Then I'm not very sure of the entire story. I have to read. So he took the Vedas from Brahma, and Brahma lost the Vedic knowledge. And then Hamsavatar killed the demon and brought back the Vedas and gave to Brahma. And in another place, it is Matsyavatar, who also, what is that? प्रलयपयोधिजले धृतवानसि वेदं विहितवहेत्र something. What is it? Akhedam. केशवरूपा मीनशरीरा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे. So Vedam. So Matsya also, the Vedas were immersed in the ocean, and then he brought back the Vedas. So what is this? I mean, what is the meaning of these Vedas being lost? And then because if you see in the Bhagavatam itself, Brahma's body is made of intelligence and mind only. He has a very subtle body. He doesn't have a gross body like us. But when he bowed down to Krishna, when all the Brahmas from different universes bowed down to Krishna, all the helmets touching the ground made a tumultuous sound. How can there be sound if their crown, if their dress, if their whole existence, they don't even have it's not a metal like this gross earthly metal, but they have a crown, golden crown. What is that golden crown? Like, is it made of gold or is it made of what then? If they are only mind and intelligence is what his thing is made of, and sometimes it is said his body is made of pure intelligence. So then his crown is also subtle. But if it is subtle, why all the Brahmas are making sound when this thing is touching? And what it means by the Brahma losing the Vedas was stolen from him, and then Hamsavatar brought the Vedas back to Brahma. It means, is it a book form? Book is written for Kali Yuga population, useless mandabuddhi like us. Brahma is the topmost intelligent person, and he tene Brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yatsura. So I mean, he was taught from the heart. Krishna as Paramatma, infused him with Vedic knowledge. How is the Vedas stolen from him? What does that mean actually? So it's a more subtle thing, but that in these higher realms, there is subtle form of earth, water, fire, air, ether also. Subtle, like golden crown. Yes, it is a golden crown, but it is not like a gold like us, which makes sound, which is touch, which you can touch. That is untouchable. You can't touch. You don't even know. You can't even see. It's subtle. Ghosts are already subtle. And because Sundar Gopal Prabhu, he can see ghosts. So we asked him many times. I also asked him, how do ghosts look like? He said they have an airy form, like an air, but they have a form, but it's like air, like it's not like you can touch, but you can see they have form. So it's difficult to imagine. They have form, but form is a function of fire, which is you can see only when you have fire. Fire has form, like air has no form, ether has no form, fire, water, and earth have form. So it has to be at least fire or more gross than fire to have form. But here, ghosts are having form, but it's like an ethereal form, like floating, like air, like almost like air, like this. But they have form. So interesting, right? So how is that possible? That means there is subtle. These five elements. See, in Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna gave us in a easy way. Okay, the five gross elements, three subtle elements, and the soul, and that's it. But if you study the statements of Bhagavatam and Bhagavad-gītā more closely and try to understand, then you see that, hey, if you just examine and then, all the Brahmas bow down, and then it was tumultuous sound, that was, overwhelming sound. So if you actually observe that statement, how can there be sound when all the subtle beings? Well, still it is possible. That means there are subtle metals, subtle forms, subtle versions of these Panchabhuta, which is earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Like, for example, Sumeru mountain is a golden mountain, 800 meters, 800,000 yojanas, 800,000 miles high mountain on the Bhumandal, but we are unable to see. It should be distinctly visible for such a height. It's nowhere to be seen. That means it is a more subtle thing. You cannot. So Brahma lost the Vedas means he was made to forget that knowledge. So the demons sometimes they're so powerful that Madhu demon, or I don't know who was that, he intercepted the mind of Brahma. Because already his form is only mind and intelligence. So he intercepted the mind and then made him forget. He stole the Vedic knowledge away from Brahma. So it's not exactly that he was stealing some books away from Brahma and Brahma wanted the books back. And not so cheapskate like what we can imagine here. He is a different level of manipulation and stealing or whatever. It's more subtle. So so when we are talking about subconscious mind, dreaming, these are more actually in the fourth canto. You will find more of this. Fourth canto, 29th chapter. You will find more. 63rd verse onwards. Very interesting. But it's a little bit difficult to understand with our current. We try to apply physical laws that apply to our gross body to the subtle body also. The subtle body leaves. Yeah, but it leaves and it can still stay. So it's more subtle. Similarly, UFOs, for example, some of the UFOs, they move in ways which is not possible for physics that we know. So that means they are more of a subtle nature of The UFOs have form, they have some kind of thing, and they move at they're. I'm going to make another video also. That is one of my topics, bucket list of topics of video, which is UFOs and all this. So, and I've seen some videos of how they describe what they saw. So this Air Force pilot, US Air Force pilot, he was flying this plane, and he was very proud of his, because they're one of the best fighter pilots in the world. And when you achieve that kind of accomplishment, then you'll have some pride in what you have learned. You are the best in the world. That kind of pride. So as they were doing some routine drill on in the air, in the sky, there was this massive. I mean, there was this thing. There was like UFO basically. It did not have wings. It did not have an engine. There was no heat. And it was just floating in the air. Like he was what? They could not believe their eyes. And then they tried to follow it. They were at about 28,000 feet height at the time. Then, as they got closer to them, the thing just dropped all the way to sea level in less than a second. And he explained that in terms of acceleration. Fighter pilots, trained, really good fighter pilots, they can take acceleration up to 10 G. That means 10 times the, when you free fall onto the earth, that's called 1 G, 9.8 meters per second square acceleration. They go 10 times that, 98 meters per second square acceleration they can take, because you will lose your consciousness. You'll become unconscious and then even going to die, that acceleration levels. So they can take 10 times the acceleration of a free fall, a very good pilot. You know what kind of acceleration that drop was? 1,500 G. 28,000 feet in less than a second. And they were just gone all the way down, just above the ocean level water. They were just hovering there. I think one or two kind of UFOs. And then they tried to chase them down. So they had to take some time to come all the way down, and they were keeping that UFO in sight, and then they were coming down. And then they come to, at their level, it was like just above sea level. They were just floating there. Then they tried to chase, and then just accelerated at immeasurable speed into the distance and then just vanished. Then, describing that incident 15 years later in that documentary video, his hairs were still standing on end, and he had this look of absolute fear in his face. Unbelievable. And he was explaining in a way, he was describing, he said, those creatures, whoever they are, they knew we were there. They observed us. They were reacting to our movements. But for some strange reason, they never attacked us. But I'll tell you one thing, he said. If they do choose to attack us, there is absolutely nothing we can do to save ourselves. They can destroy the entire human race in no time. But for some reason, they just are not doing it. So this is what he said. Because the power that they have, the technology, we don't even have a clue how they're doing it. So they must be some kind of upadevas or something from the, subterranean heavenly planets. Somewhere from those regions where they are way more advanced, or even on the Bhumandal itself, the other Varshas except the Bharat Varsha are much more advanced in their materialistic this thing. So they don't want to bother or interfere with earthly things. And another video they was showing, they were describing that they were actually shooting bullets with their aircraft. They were shooting bullets at the thing, and the thing was just absorbing those bullets and doing nothing. Nothing was happening to that. And it was just absorbing all the bullets. So there also he said, I mean, if they really want, they can destroy us in no time. but for some reason they're just not doing anything. Because first of all, they're not interested. They just want to check out. Maybe I don't know. They're just having maybe a pleasure ride or what. And all our weapons are of no use, and they can just jam the communications. And then he also said that after that, reeling experience, we we came back and landed on the ship. It was a naval ship on which they landed their aircrafts, and they're trying to like discuss and for some reason they could not say this to anyone, and then they will just like be laughed at or something. And then some mysterious men came, and then they came and took away all the footage of the hard drives and everything, and they just left, and nobody ever saw them. So even the footages of them of that was no longer there. So you can't even like prove it to anyone. Like they did not want it to be seen by anyone. And who are those men? For some reason, when they came, like nobody obstructed them, and they just went straight into the most what is that, confidential areas of the ship and all that, and then military ship, and then they just took everything, and they left after that, and nobody knows who they are and where they came from. No, no. And he cannot explain. Maybe they are the aliens in the human form. So he's just flabbergasted even now after 15 years of that experience, and he's thoroughly shaken, and he felt completely humbled and helpless. Okay, we have, because sometimes you find these people talking, this U.S. Defense Secretary will say, "Oh, we have to have our national security. We should know what these UFOs are. We should." This guy was saying they can do absolutely nothing. If they really choose to attack, we can do nothing. We're utterly helpless. So, what am I trying to say is that the gross existence and the subtle existence is way more mysterious than we can imagine, because we are not in our current level where we have a gross body. We cannot imagine, we are not aware of how the subtle world even works. So, and let alone spiritual world, which is even way more subtle than the subtle body itself. So the workings of these worlds is unknown to us, but we should not apply our same physical laws there. We should not superimpose. Just like we cannot think of Krishna as an ordinary man and apply ordinary logic to understand him. Similarly, our gross logic doesn't apply on the subtle plane. It doesn't. It works on different principles. So it's way more complicated. I mean, Krishna just simplified and gave us what we need to know to get out of this material world. But that's why if you start reading these books again and again, you will feel like, wow, this is way more, um, you know, complex than it first meets the eye, or it first appears. It's way more complex than it first appears. Yeah, they were like every country is very interesting. After all, it's Granth. Yeah. Yeah. So in a dream, 4, 12, 18 purport. One's gross body is lying on the bed while the subtle body carries the soul, the living entity, to another atmosphere. So again, this carrying is different than just a gross carrying. It's a subtle carrying, it's a subtle way of carrying. So that's why our physical laws, if we just apply, that means our soul has left our body completely. That is not possible. We are still trapped in this body, but subtly we are traveling. So, but it's called carrying. But then, as I said, our physical laws of this world, of this gross matter, and the subtle laws, they look different. But it can be called carrying, because the soul, I mean, the soul actually experiences a totally different world, nothing to do with the body that is lying down here. But at the same time, the soul is still in the body, and the subtle body, wanders. So it's interesting. It's very very interesting. Yes, when I read more, I feel like I'll defeat any atheist in the world by the mercy of Acharya. Sorry if it sounds like egoistic manner. Yeah. That means soul really going someplace on physical universe using subtle body a dream, or its imaginary creation of subtle body. I mean, this dream. Yeah. So that's the thing. We are not actually going to any physical location. That's the other interesting thing. The soul is traveling, but where is it traveling to? So suppose if I dream that I'm in my hometown and I'm talking to my family members, but actually those family members don't interact with you. And sometimes you will have dream of not somewhere else, but even in your own house, like you are having some thing with your family members, but then the family members have no clue that you had that dream. You did not actually interact with them. Then what did you interact with? Images of them, photocopies of them, subtle photocopies of them. What did you interact with? So it's a own thing we have created, and in only very rare cases. Okay, for example, I do not know if I think it's surely possible for yogis or some people like this to maybe communicate with others in their subtle ways or whatever. Maybe there is a whole science for that. I have no clue of that. There must be, because that's how the higher beings they contact. But we have experience of even Prabhupada describing his own experiences of dream where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur came and asked him to take sannyas 3 times, and then he was sitting in this Radha Damodar Mandir in his room, and he was looking through the window to the Rupa Goswami's Samadhi. And then Rupa Goswami gave him his darshan, gave him the blessings that you go to the Western countries, you will be successful. Rupa Goswami personally came and gave him the blessings in his spiritual form. I mean, of course, in the form of Rupa Goswami, not as Rupa Manjari. Actually, I don't even know in which form he saw. But it was Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada mentions that he came and he blessed me to go to the Western countries. So, I mean, he is communicating with Krishna and all these associates in a manner which we don't even understand. Right. See? So, in that, there is actual interaction. But in a dream, you see, you have to explain to your own family members that, oh, you were there in the dream, I did this and you did that. But then the family member have no clue. So, actually, what is he seeing there? What is the person actually seeing? So, it's very strange. 328:19, pure devotees can see God everywhere. Yes. Subtle body leaves. Yeah, its leaving is different. Soul stays, subtle body leaves. No, that's not how it works. Because you see, you must understand one thing: the body or the subtle body are dead by themselves. They are animated because the soul is inhabiting them. It's the driver and the car. It's not that the driver is here, the car is gone somewhere. Then how will the driver experience what is going on in the car? So it's not like that. Subtle body can leave and stay at the same time. Its movement is different from just the gross body, which is, you know, um, and also as you say, I mean, as we just discussed, it seems like it is leaving and interacting with some others, but those others have no clue that he's interacting with them. So actually, he's not interacting with them, but he's interacting with some representation of such, some imagine. I don't know if it can be called imagination or what. I don't know what it is even called. So images of and but they actually interact with him in the dream, but real life they have no clue that this happened. So it's very anyway. I like when Krishna said, "I'm like that rope which holds the shiny balls. Everyone sees the ball, but not the rope." I can't remember that verse. Sorry for that. It's in Bhagavad-gītā. Sutre manigana eva 7:7. Like pearls are strung on a thread. You cannot see the thread, but we can see the pearls. This isn't possible as long as we remain in the material. Subtle body can't leave us. Yeah. They say that our being, the only intelligent being, and the Earth being the only planet with life, proves that everything is by chance. Because so many failed planets are there without life. Well, Are you sure they have no life? Or is it true that you cannot perceive any life on that planet? Because you are looking for life as you see it on this planet, but that's not how it exists on other planets. So, subtle, like for example, leave aside other planets first. On this planet, there are ghosts, and science has zero explanation about them. At best, they call that paranormal experiences or something like that, but they have no scientific study of such things to a degree that, yeah, this is the science of the subtle body, and this is how ghosts work, this is how they exist. They have no such thing. It's just like, oh, there was this experience, oh, that happened, this happened. But what can you derive from that? How do they exist? Do you have any, like, they have studied lions, they have studied snakes, they have studied lizards and whatever. They did not study such thing for about ghosts. For them, life means they have to have some carbon atoms. They have to carbon. They look for carbon dating. Fossils. This is what they understand life as, or the remnants of life, or whatever it is. So biomatter. Biomatter. They call it biomatter. That means some organic cells. That's what they're looking for when they're looking for life. But life exists in other ways, and the life, if Krishna wants to hide it from them, they cannot even see anything. So it is hubris. Hubris means excessive pride. It is hubris to think that because I can't see it with my telescopes or satellites or whatever I send out, so therefore there is nothing there. That's too much of confidence in our own our perception. So we should be more humble, then we can understand how things work. So nothing is by chance. There's no such thing as chance. And okay, you are talking about proving. Can you prove that life comes from these chemicals? Because that is your position. I question a scientist that, okay, by chance you're saying, okay, by chance some molecules came together, and they evolved and then became cells and became tissues and became other cells and became complex organisms, and now we have this human body out of such interactions, and finally we have a brain, we have a mind, we have thinking power, we have subtle. You think all that started from the body? Okay, so you say that from the evolution of matter the life emerged. Okay, then what are those exact ingredients which come together to form life? And don't take anything from life, take from inanimate matter and mix them up and produce that life. That's the question they cannot answer. So first prove that. Where is your theory? I mean, your theory is not holding water. So you are questioning our theory, our knowledge. First of all, your whole base is on a very stupid assumption that life came from matter. Prove it then. Prove it. That is not true. So we don't know many things actually. We don't know what happens at the time of death. We don't know what happens, how the birth starts. We don't know. Yeah, sex, they can say sex, that's how it starts. That's not the start. The soul has entered. The movements of the soul are completely unknown to these people. So when they can't see many things even on this planet, they cannot see the movement of the soul when the body dies. So they have no clue of this soul. They just see the external bodies. And they have no clue of even subtle beings like ghosts and others. They have no clue of these things. So how can they expect to find life on other planets when they're so blind? So they just say that we don't understand the numbers behind the chance. So many failed planets are there and one with life. So of course, us is in this planet will think that there is purpose behind our planet. Well, it's a very gloomy description of everything. That everything is just without a purpose, without a meaning, without. Then, if that is true, then why are there some moral principles? Okay, this is good, or to kill others is bad. Why does it even matter? Because it's, after all, some atoms coming together and after some time going away. So if it's only atoms that are all, so killing or preserving life or anything should not matter. Why there is crime, why there is one is considered good, one is bad, if ultimately there is nothing, there's no purpose to anything anyway. Why then these things matter? It matters only because those things are punished which will deteriorate our existence or disturb our existence, and those things are promoted which will improve our existence. Like business, for example, is encouraged because economic growth will happen, and crime is discouraged and punished because that will make the society not conducive to live together. But either way we're going to die, right? So how does it matter? That means there is some purpose. There is some purpose. That's why one is considered good, one is considered bad. On what basis do you judge then? If there is zero purpose, everybody will have their own standards for judgment. Okay, this is for me, this is good, that is bad, this is good, that is bad. So why there is a common law? Why there is? I mean, why do anything anyway? And if we anyway die and we are just atoms, suicide shouldn't be punished. But if one commits, attempts suicide, he's arrested. If his suicide attempt fails, that means he did not die, he's alive, but he attempted suicide, he will be arrested. That is a crime to attempt suicide. So why? Let him die, no? What is the problem? Oh, somebody's feelings will get hurt. So what? They will also die one day. Anyway, it's all atoms. Atoms have feelings or not, who cares? Atoms are atoms. So if you just look at no purpose or anything, then you should not have any purpose in anything that you do. Why do you have some principles, some this is right, that is wrong? That means there is a direction of action. Okay, this we have to do, this we should not do. Even in moral principles. So actually those moral principles are stemming from spiritual principles, because there is a much higher thing, and these moral principles make us conducive, because it will reduce our sinful life, and it will make us conducive to actually contact more pious people, and then eventually devotees, and then our liberation is effected in that way. So there is a direction, and that's why there are rules of conduct. So you cannot say that this is all by just in chance and everything. Then don't talk about any order, and just let's have anarchy, no governance, nothing, just exist. Anyway, we are just atoms. Bubbles, when they so many bubbles are formed. When the wave hits the beach, so many bubbles are formed and so many bubbles are destroyed at the same. Who laments for them? So why should we lament for anyone dying or taking birth or anything? Why should we feel happiness or die or distress or what? It's all atoms. It's all physics after all, right? Chemistry. It's not. Um, yes, if only Krishna wants us to know about him, then we can know, otherwise never. Every planet has got life. Deshakalapatra. Deshakalapatra has nothing to do with this. Prabhupada specifically mentioned in the introduction that you must read in the correct order. Yeah. No, Hare Krishna League means that dog case, Prabhu, they came to temple to get permission. Oh, I don't know which comment now. I have to go back all the way. Anyway, fine. Krishna will reveal, okay. And this is the problem of conditioned souls like us. We think we can understand spiritual concepts like how try to understand material topics. That isn't true. That's how spiritual science not work. Soul goes to Anahata Nadi during deep sleep to meet with super soul. They don't speculate there. Meet with super soul. What happened in that meeting? What happened in that meeting? He has no clue of the super soul at the present moment. Anyway, Okay, I have explained the Sadashiva and all that. Today I saw one reel that person is saying only Jesus will greet us, not Krishna. Okay. Today I saw in the reel that person was saying in heaven only Jesus will greet us. No. Okay, we are deviating way out of the topic. I meant, Prabhu, so one should give up illicit sex and accept initiation, then there is hope, right? Yeah. Saurav Sahu, I think ghost actually can move physically one place to another through subtle body, but dream is more like the false creation of subtle body. Here, we're not going anywhere because soul is trapped in. Yes, physically, well, actually, we do not know. I mean, of course, they move, but maybe while here they know what is happening there. I don't know how actually a ghost's body works. Um, so they do move physically, but not exactly like our physically. Like they can walk through walls. Laws of physics don't apply to them. They can just fly anywhere. So yeah, they had shown the sound vibrations from Brahmaji. Not exactly. It's more subtle. The sound also subtle sound. I mean, no, you cannot steal the sound vibrations. It's the understanding. It's like um, if see previously you must understand it. Everything is learned by memorization, right? So everything is learned, and once it's in your heart, nobody can steal it from you. Once you know it, then you know it. But stealing from there, from the heart, means make one forget. To manipulate the subtle body and make one forget those. Like just like Karna was cursed that when he is supposed to use the astra, then he will forget the mantra. And then you may think, oh, no, it will not happen. I know this mantra very well, I will not. But at that time, it happened to him. He could not remember. How much ever he tried, he could not remember. So, such things, I mean, powerful demons or yogis, they can do this kind of stuff. So, that's kind of what happened. Um, that's the stealing of the Vedas. And then Krishna killed the demon and again revived the memory of Brahma. That is the bringing back of the Vedas. So, it's a different paradigm altogether. Wow, there are so many things. Gross body now. So that limiting subtle body to physical change, position through subtle body, what ghosts can do because they have no physical body. Yeah. Um, Ghosts can really move on physical dimensions using speed of mind. Yes. There are different types of ghosts, Pisachi, Bhoot, Brahma, they can even kill us. They can take human body as well to kill. Yeah, they can possess. The main reason they will do that and trapped in the gross. Yeah. Yeah, Saurav Sahu is. So dream means an imaginary creation of subtle body. Here, subtle is not going anywhere. Anyway, I think we can't speak too definitively about this because it looks logical to us. It sounds logical to us, but our logic is based on our experience in this gross body. So, what exactly happens, we can't really describe unless there's some shastric statements revealing to us what is happening. Then we exactly know because we can't say that okay, it is happening this way and not that way, and that way and not this way. We cannot be 100% sure, but in the realm of speculation, it makes sense to us according to our fundamentals of logic that we are aware of. But they can defy our logic. You know, so their laws look different than us. So we can't be 100% sure unless we hear some Vedic statements of. exactly how this happens. Even then, also, even in Vedic statements, we should understand that those statements which are given to us or revealed to us at this point, only those statements are revealed to us which we can comprehend. Some things which we cannot comprehend, it's just not mentioned. So we don't even, so like Krishna explained five gross elements and then three subtle elements and then the soul. That's it. But he did not explain the subtle versions of these things. So that is a bit more detail, which is at the present moment not, we cannot understand. And to become Krishna conscious in our present life, it is not even needed at this point. So what we can comprehend, he gives us. But then here and there, if you really are attentive, you will see in the descriptions of like this bowing down of Brahma, all the Brahmas, and then the sound was coming. But in other places, it is mentioned that he has a body made of only purely intelligence and mind, and that's too purified mind. So he doesn't have a body like us to make sound, but sound is there, even in that crown of golden crown. And how that gold? What gold is that? If it is subtle, if it is subtle golden, so that means and that subtle gold had sound also. But then his body is subtle, so you know. So if you see, if you take note, then you will have these glimpses of things which you cannot understand with normal logic. Like how is it? So here and there, such details are sprinkled. Um, so so Krishna is inconceivable. The only thing we have is Krishna is inconceivable. He can do so many things we cannot even understand. The extent of his illusion, we know this Maya is illusion, but we cannot even begin to understand the extent of the illusion that we are under. It is so vast and deep that we are completely unaware. But one thing we can know is how much ever we are unaware of how the mechanics of the everything works. One thing Krishna makes clear that if you remember me, I will take you out of this material world and reinstate you into spiritual world. How I'm going to do all the logistics immaterial to you, I will do it. You just think of me. So Krishna is making things very easy for us, very accessible for us. And if we do that, Krishna will make all the rest of the background arrangement for us. This is good. Okay. Um, Viman Shastra full description of UFO and Rigveda some parts. Yeah. Yes. But what is the astral projection then? Moving with the subtle body and controlling it. I'm not fully aware of what is astral projection. I've heard those phrases, but I've never really delved into it. Anyway, to be very honest, these kinds of things are subtle, and there is so much speculation about these things, and not a definitive process how to actually get at least known to us. It's not known to us a specific process on how to actually advance in this direction in this manner, and most importantly, not necessary for us to even know these things because irrelevant to our lifestyle. So it's just a curiosity thing, but otherwise nothing to do with our sadhana, our advancement in Krishna consciousness. Doesn't really come in any use and is not required. UFO runs on anti-gravity like Garuda Ji Garuda. Hey, speculation. Prabhu, I have done so many sins, even the ones which are very gross. Somehow I came to Krishna consciousness. I think I have to go for some time in hell. So you have decided. Okay, so anyway, you just become Krishna conscious, okay? Everything will be alright. Okay, so I want to skip this whole thing about UFOs and all that. Yeah. Um, yeah, this has become an ask me anything session exactly. Actually, you should keep the questions to the topic. You just talk anything, whatever you want. Okay, all this UFO thing. Like those people who had experienced seeing themselves while doctors doing defibrillation. It's not some hallucination. They could describe how doctors look like their activities operators. Yes. NDEs, near-death experiences. So this is actually when the soul really goes out of the body and then looks at the body, like Dimitri is saying, I saw one video where a devotee came to some lecture of a famous scientist and asked, is there an experiment now that proved that life comes from matter? He frankly said in front of everyone, "No." Yeah. Swarup Damodar Goswami, he did that. I don't know if maybe other devotees also did it. They even don't know how souls come through rain. Yes. They then from plant to father's semen to the soul transfer and get a body in mother's womb. Chandogya Upanishad says this. So yeah, this is also unknown. Yeah. Then why they fear death? Because anyway it'll also come by chance. Exactly. Dimitri is saying everything is by accident. You go to why do you go to school, work, etc. Let you become educated and rich by accident. Exactly. It doesn't make any sense. Yep. 11:17 now. Suffering from love failure. We all are, because we are supposed to love Krishna. We failed, and that's why we are suffering. Amayvamsho jivaloke jivabhuta sanatana mana shashtanindriyani prakriti sthani karshati. We're supposed to love Krishna. We failed in that love, and now we are suffering in this material world. So chant Hare Krishna. Okay. जय भगवद गीता की जय. um, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत गौरी वैष्णव वृंद की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्णा.